Welcome back to another episode of the Nintendo Prime Podcast, episode 15.
What up, everybody? It's the Blind Squirrel. I found a couple nuts during E3. I am now back. What up?
Hey everybody, how's it going? Hopefully you guys had a lovely weekend. We have had, it's Wednesday now, right? So I guess it's the middle of the week. How's it going? We're back, baby. Nintendo Prime Podcast, the OG crew, well, minus Darren, is back here. We got Eric right here. You guys remember him?
Yeah.
Probably from one of those E3 long-ass 17-hour streams, right?
Yeah.
17 hours in that last stream.
Ugh.
So, that was an interesting time. I don't know if I'm going to call it a fun time, but it was interesting.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, I'm your host with the most, Nathaniel Rumpeljans. How's it going, everyone? I hope you're having a lovely day. We're going to have, hopefully, a really amazing podcast for you guys. Just us today, no special guest. Sad day. I know.
Which I'm kind of surprised.
I had one, and they canceled, and I couldn't find a replacement. I said, you know what? The podcast has been gone for too long.
I know. I'm sorry about last week. Brother from Wyoming was in town that I only get to see every third year. And I thought they were going to be out of town last Wednesday, and they decided to change plans right at the last second, and so that's why I was out.
In other words, he didn't find his nut last week.
Yeah, no.
I mean, that's the real story here.
Yeah.
So we got some awesome topics for you guys today. I have the wrong chat open though with the topics.
Yeah.
There's the topics. All right, so our very first topic, actually, this is a really simple one. We talked about it a bit last week with the special guest I had last week, but I haven't gotten Eric's thoughts really on this at all. Switch OLED. Mm-hmm. Okay, like this is a thing that's coming October 8th. By the way, we're giving away a Switch OLED if you'd like to win. We're giving away the white one that matches Metroid Dread. In fact, you haven't even been on since Metroid Dread was announced, so that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, it was.
Were you? You were here for that?
It was that.
That was E3. Oh, yeah. See, all my shit's running together in my brain, so I guess you were here for that.
I was here for that.
God, E3 feels like it was so long ago.
Right? I know, right?
Like it was just like last year?
Yeah, right. It kind of was.
Oh, my brain must be fried. So Switch OLED was announced. And it's coming out the same day as Metroid Dread. We're giving away a white version. All you guys got to do to enter is just subscribe. Really simple. To our YouTube channel, by the way. If you're listening to the audio version, which you're probably not because I haven't put up an audio version in like 2 months. But when this one eventually hits and you listen, if it's not October yet, there's still time to enter. But I want to get your thoughts on it because obviously it's something meant to replace this. And it costs $50 more. Mm-hmm. It's got a Surface-style kickstand now. Mm-hmm. You know what those are like? Mm-hmm. Right? Okay. It's got, obviously, no bezel anymore. Right. Basically no bezel. 7-inch OLED display, which, I mean, it's hard to give opinions on until we see it in person. There are videos on it out there now, but compression and everything doesn't necessarily do it justice. There's nothing like seeing screens in person anyways.
Right.
And then it has a new dock. With rounded corners now. Ooh, rounded. And it has a LAN port now, which I guess the hope there is that it's actually a 1 gig LAN port, so we actually get better internet connections for online play.
You gotta have the actual internet or online presence to actually, support things like that. But, sorry, didn't go there.
Yeah, you didn't go there at all. I mean, hey, the new Mario Party coming out is going to have killer online, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, there's that. And I want to really get your thoughts on it. I've talked about it. I had a guest talk about it last week. But what are your thoughts? People want to know. Obviously, I don't think it's a system you're going to buy, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you are going to get it.
I was hyped right away. I was definitely planning on getting the Pro, whatever it was going to be called. Now, just seeing what it is, and the hype the hype train outdid this one, where talks of 4K upscaling, things like that. So much things that they could have done. I almost kind of feel like Nintendo kind of didn't quite go as far as they possibly could have with this. So to me, it just seems like the screen's going to be nice. The kickstand upgrade's going to be nice. But, I mean, is that really enough to get me to buy a new one? I don't think so. I mean, maybe it will be once I see yours. But
and you actually play in handheld.
Yeah.
Almost exclusively. So like this is kind of the upgrade that's aimed towards you, because everything about it, I mean, besides the Gigabyte LAN port on the dock, is literally aimed at handheld players. It's a better handheld experience.
Right. And I mean, it also helps that I play, but I don't play a ton either.
Religiously.
So that's another reason why it's kind of like, well, do I have the money to do it right now? Do I not? Do I, it's kind of one of those things.
And yet you want to get an Xbox Series X so you can play Back 4 Blood.
Yeah, but that's. I already have a Switch. So
I know.
That's the thing.
I know.
If I didn't already have a Switch.
Well, I'd be slapping you after playing that E3 demo in 2016. I would have been like, how the hell did you?
How do I still not?
Unless you have a Wii U.
Right.
I'd be like, okay, if you have a Wii U, I'll give you a pass. But then you missed out on Odyssey, you missed out Mario and Rabbids. The new Mario and Rabbids come.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah, for sure, absolutely. But I don't know. Compared to hype, which I know is not exactly what Nintendo said, because Nintendo actually didn't really say anything. But it feels like they could have did more, and that's the kind of the part that disappoints me a little bit to a certain extent. And
what part disappoints you?
Just that they could have did more.
So this isn't the Pro.
Right.
That's what you're upset.
Right.
Like not
Kinda.
upset, but like disappointed. Yeah. Which for some people is worse than upset. All I know is when Yulia, my fiance, looks at me and goes, "I'm so disappointed in you." She's like beyond enraged. You're in the doghouse.
This is not upset. This is just I wish they would have went a little farther and did a little bit more, because there were things that were, I believe, achievable, and it just didn't feel like they put 100% into it to upgrade it. It just felt like they kind of did as little as they possibly could to come up with a new version to sell to people. That's kind of what I'm feeling. That's the part that kind of, not mad, just, again, disappointed, which is, for me, is less than mad. So
I get you. I think everyone that was looking forward to a new Switch was a little bit disappointed that this wasn't like the new 3DS or like the new Nintendo Switch, or the DSi or whatever you want to call it. Just at least, even if it was the same chipset, like running at base clock speeds instead of clock down, because it's clocked down a lot. And modders have proven the Switch can handle running hotter than it does now. So the Switch can handle better clock speeds. So it could have, at least if they were going to stick with the Tegra X1, bumped it. Mm-hmm. And in that bump would have smoothed out some of the frame rate issues and la-di-da, move on with our day. But they didn't even do that. That would have been like the bare minimum I think some people would have wished they would have done. Mm-hmm. And technically, you could argue, still could do. All that is just literally releasing a firmware update that enables it. So it's not like they can't do that in the future. It just doesn't seem like they're going to, unless it's possible. Obviously there is a point of how hot it gets to be comfortable to hold. Mm-hmm. And it'll be interesting to see if they change the cooling in it. Because when I get mine, I'm going to be taking it apart just to look and see what they changed if they changed any of the design on the inside. Because I'm curious, like, did they improve the cooling? I have no idea. They're using a different fan. Are they using vapor chamber? I don't know. I guess I'll find out when I open the thing. Yeah. But it's going to be really interesting to see how well it sells, because I essentially look at the Switch OLED as, because it feels even weird calling it Switch OLED, because technically it's just called Nintendo Switch. OLED is in brackets at the bottom of the box. It's not even part of the title of the system. Yeah. Which to me means it's supposed to replace this. Right. And the only reason it's not replacing this now is because this thing keeps selling out. Right. Because of the pandemic. Still, chip shortage. This thing keeps selling out. Not necessarily the light model, but this one. I mean, nowadays, the sales have slowed down a little bit since Switch OLED was announced, of course. People are waiting for that. Right. But it's one of those situations to me that, are we disappointed because all the hype build up for the Pro?
That definitely has it. Part of it.
Or are we disappointed because of how they named this thing? So they called it Nintendo Switch OLED. I mean,
Well,
again, in brackets.
everybody's doing that.
But
They necessarily.
but I mean, and it's weird that Nintendo has a tech spec mentioned at all. They never talk about technical specs, so
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy that they have something on the box about it. You know, like when you see the 4K or the 8K on the PlayStation 5 on the box, it's like, okay, you're not really going to be doing 8K here, but hey, whatever, it's a marketing term. Yeah. Well, that's what this is, except, you know, Nintendo doesn't do that. They don't focus on those kind of things. So it's weird to see that on the box.
I think it is. They may have learned a little bit from like the Wii U thing, where you kind of have to, with some people, you have to show that there is a difference between this version and this version, because with the naming convention like the Wii and the Wii U, there were a lot of people that were confused. Like, oh, so this Wii U thing works with the Wii, right? No, they're completely different things. So, you know, it's kind of another one of those things that I think if they didn't specify that this is an OLED, people are going to think that it's the original Switch.
So I was thinking, this system is basically a Switch XL. Bigger screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also a better screen, but it's a bigger screen. Yeah, there's other little changes, which, I mean, the kickstand change I think is actually a pretty big deal for, especially.
And that was one of the things that
I don't care about tabletop mode, but I know my kids play it a lot. So having an actual kickstand so they can stop propping this thing up against things is nice. And I think in the few sparing situations where somebody might be on a plane and want to set it on a tray, that's actually a kickstand that might work in that situation. I'm not saying that I would. I you know, play on a plane sometimes, and it's, you know, I just hold it in my hand. But, you know, on longer flights, it might be 6 hours. You know, it could maybe get some tiring. Plus, you know, this is something that they didn't fix, is like when you're on a plane in a situation where you might want to set it on there, well, you also might want to charge it. Planes offer outlets and USB outlets and everything to charge, but it's on the bottom and you can't prop it up. So that doesn't really work. It only works if you hold it in your hand. So I kind of wish that they would have added basically a USB-C on the top and the bottom.
Charger, like an actual charge port on the top.
Yeah, just because of multiple devices, lots of laptops these days, you can plug your charger on either side through the Thunderbolt port or USB-C port. So that would have been nice to see that change, but they didn't do it. But I think if they would have came out, would you be as disappointed in this platform if it would have came out and they would have just called it a Nintendo Switch XL? Because that's what they did with 3DS.
No, I know. I'm just, I don't...
Like XL, because XL just sets the expectation that it's the same system with a bigger screen. That's it. That's all XL means.
Yeah, I mean...
Because, here's why I say this.
Okay. Yep.
I say this because it's setting up for the fact that when you look at the history of the XL branding, they went with the DS Lite. Okay, so we got Switch Lite. Then they went DS XL, and then DSi, which ended up being the more powerful one. Okay, so to give a more recent example that makes more sense is when they got rid of the I and actually did, I don't know if it's better branding, but they went 3DS, they went 3DS Lite, and then they went 3DS XL, and then after 3DS XL came new Nintendo 3DS, and that was the more powerful one, and they did a new Nintendo 3DS XL, 2DS, blah, 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 all that stuff. Yeah. The reason I say that is because if you think about that history, then it would have been Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Switch Lite, Nintendo Switch XL. It would almost confirm that a new Nintendo Switch, a more powerful one, is still coming. Now it's one of those, is this thing even coming? Like now we're left wondering, is that happening or is it going to be next gen? Whereas if they call this XL, it's like, well, that's just following the same pattern as 3DS. Like obviously,
it's still possible,
XL comes before you get to the more power. And by the way, that still might be happening.
Right. No,
you know, just because they're not using the XL branding and they're pushing the screen.
Because, I mean, well, we've also hyped on them for constantly using the same name.
But I never had a problem with XL. XL was the one I was like, that makes sense. Yeah. XL, okay, it's bigger. Right. It makes sense. Yeah. Like, it's like a number. It makes sense to people. Like, worldwide, we understand that. Lite, I always thought was weird that they went with LITE. But you know what? Whatever. It was kind of understood. Okay, it's a smaller. Like it sort of made. It was that new Nintendo. It was the DSi, which like made it feel like it was an Apple product. Yep. Don't know what they
made. Well, that might be what they were thinking.
I don't know. And then they had new Nintendo 3DS, which made people think, wait, is this like a next gen one? No, it's not. Yeah. But that new branding then was used and abused by Nintendo a lot over the years as well. New Super Mario Brothers, new Super Mario Party. new, like new Super Lucky Sales. We found out at E3. That was Nintendo's idea to put new in the title. Because it's like it's the old game, but then it's not the old game, and there's new content, and there's this. What should we call it? New Super Lucky Sales? Got it. That's what it's like. Yeah. Nintendo's in love with that new branding. At least they used to be.
Yeah.
And I swear they might not be done with it. If they do release a quote unquote Switch Pro in the future, calling it new Nintendo Switch would not be shocking at this point.
Yeah.
Although they technically only used it for one generation of hardware, although they've done multiple gens of games using it. So, because I know for me, if they would have just called it XL, it would have just been, okay, that's expected. Like, I know we're all looking forward to the power, but them dropping an XL before that's par for the course. They did that a year before the new 3DS.
For sure.
So it'd be like, oh, they dropped this now? Okay, cool. You get the bigger one if you want it now, and you're cool. Or, like, wait for what's probably going to be a year from now, the new one. And, like, this XL, what happened with the 3DS XL? It just replaced the base model a year later. So, like, okay, cool. So I see the strategy. Okay, so then you'd see the 7-inch screen, which this still might be the strategy. But you see the 7-inch screen, you see all these improvements. All these are going to be on the new Nintendo one. But they just wanted to make sure it's also on the base model too. So they're going to replace the base model before they give you the more powerful one. So why is it $350? Well, probably because this thing was selling out, so they're going to keep selling this for now until they're ready to bring out a more powerful one, and then they'll discontinue this, drop the price. Some people in the chat just going off. Our mods are here; they're taking care of it. So drop the price and kind of move on. I don't what are your? It doesn't sound like the branding was gonna change your opinion.
No, I don't think so. I think this was a victim of
ourselves.
The hype. Well, a little bit of that, and the hype train that got out before it, and Nintendo not really saying a word about anything.
I do think some of it's on ourselves. We have to blame ourselves a little bit, just as people.
For sure,
Because even me, I make videos and all that, but when we look back at what Nintendo was doing, obviously, I ended up not being that upset about it. But when I look at all the rumors I covered and all the reports I covered, so Takahashi Machizuki, a lot of people were leading really heavy into the guy reporting from Bloomberg that gave us all this, and he's the one that kept making it sound like it was one system, whereas Digital Foundry and multiple other credible leakers out there were saying no, like Nate the Hate. No, there's 2 platforms coming. It's not just Switch Pro is real, it does exist, but there's 2 of them coming. There's like an XL type of model coming, and that's going to come first. And other people were saying that, and we all were just kind of like, yeah, but Takahashi Machizuki's saying it's all the same thing. So we're going to go with that because he works at Bloomberg and he's really credible, and he was right about the Switch Lite, and he was right about the internals on the base Switch before we knew what was in it. And so we look at it as he was at the top of the credibility pile, so everyone else who's also credible below him, but you're not, you didn't nail everything like he did. So you're wrong and he's right. Yeah. And I think that comes down to us as individuals choosing to ignore the mountains of other people saying, yeah, there's 2 devices coming. Because if we had thought this whole time there's 2 devices coming, and one's going to be like a 3DS XL, and that's going to obviously come first, because it would be weird to release that after the more powerful one comes out, because it's using the old hardware. That doesn't make sense.
Right. Unless they did the upgrade and then the XL of that upgrade.
Because if we lean into that on our podcast and everything else, and be like, but we got to remember this room, and you'd be like, okay, this gets announced, and you're like, oh, that's what it is? Oh. Well, then maybe I'm not so disappointed, because they're like, okay, we expected it. Whereas we're like, no, because we kept leaning into one guy. And to be fair, Takahashi Machizuki, I wish that he would have. He's basically said nothing about this publicly. Yeah, right. I wish he would have came out and acknowledged that he was either wrong or that he personally just assumed all of the information he got was about one system. And then realize, oh, maybe that's not the case. Maybe it was 2 this whole time. Now, I have a feeling he's going to acknowledge that eventually. If there is a more powerful same generation Switch coming, next year or whatever, I do expect him to eventually come out and when he talks about new information he has in it, acknowledge that he mistakenly put it all together. But doesn't change the fact that that's not what happened. We leaned into the guy. Yeah, no, we believed there was only one platform coming, that it was going to be more powerful, and what we got is this with a better screen and a better kickstand. Which is fine, but also, if you own a Switch today, it's not like especially if you play docked mode. I mean, what is there for you? A LAN port? You can buy the dock separately if you really want the LAN port.
Yeah.
And I know there's dongles, but we've been over how dongles.
Yeah, indeed.
It'll run it on USB 2.0 speeds, so it's not actually even close to as good as this would be, assuming that this LAN port is a gig. No one was able to test the LAN port. They weren't letting people do that at the preview event, so we don't know. I'm just assuming they would put a basic Gigabyte. If they're going to put a local LAN port, it would be a By the way, I think this is the first time that Nintendo has a local LAN port on their platform.
Yeah,
I think it's taken like 2 decades.
Yeah.
For them to actually put a LAN port on their system.
Yeah, I think
in the box.
Yeah.
Like, sure, you could put a port on your GameCube. Yeah, when you bought a separate attachment. Oh, you could have one on your Wii U, on your Wii, on this. Yeah, with dongles. This is the first time they put an actual LAN port on. Holy crap!
Was the Wii only, or what, did that have
the
wireless
Wii was wireless?
No, okay, I was gonna say that had a wire. I was gonna say, was that wireless? Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely possible. I don't really know much about the actual Wii U, like actual game.
Wii U is dongle
console. Yeah.
Wii U is dongle.
I knew about the handheld part of it, but I didn't know about the actual
it was dongle. Yeah.
Desktop part of it.
Dongle for wired.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
Yeah, 2 decades since like online gaming really got popular with like Halo and Call of Duty and all that on the Xbox, and then later everything else. I mean, it was always popular on PC, but for home console, and it took this long for Nintendo to put a LAN port on.
Great.
Now, the exciting part is all future Nintendo systems that can work with your TV should have a LAN port.
You'd hope.
You'd hope. They just added it. It'd be really weird if they took the feature away.
I would not be surprised.
They gave us Miiverse, which was great, and then they took it away. They gave us Virtual Console, which was all right. It's kind of sucked. It didn't transfer. You had to rebuy games. And we can get into the whole Wii mode. I understand all that, but for the most part, Nintendo was kind of a mess going gen to gen with Virtual Console. But at least we had it. And they took that away. And then they gave us the Switch Online, which sounds good in theory, until you realize there's significantly less games 5 years in than there was on any other Virtual Console.
Well, yeah, that's also part of the reason why you probably didn't need a LAN port, because there's not much to play online. So.
Oh my God. So I know you're reaming on Nintendo Switch Online, which isn't good. But
the games
but some of the most popular games on Switch use it.
Yeah. No, I know.
Splatoon 2, Splatoon 3 coming out next year.
Yeah. No,
obviously Smash, it's a huge one. Mario Kart. And the best-selling game on the whole platform is massive online. So
I know. It's just a fun joke.
Well, it also is because like the online was better on Wii U because we didn't have friend codes.
Yeah, there's that.
And it actually just used account names, which was great. It's like, hey, we have a modern account system, and online's free.
Nope.
Then we get the Switch, and hey, you remember friend codes from like the Wii and 3DS? Like, they're back, baby. Oh, that thing, that Miiverse social network that was really, really cool. That might have been actually good if it was on a platform that was popular. Yeah, we kind of kicked that one to the curb.
Why didn't we make a meme of The Shining with friend codes with the axe to the door?
Oh God, The Shining
with the axe to the door. Yeah.
Oh my God. So obviously, you're a little disappointed.
Yeah.
Not going to pick it up unless you see mine and you see me play it once in a while, and you're just kind of like.
Okay, that is much better.
That makes the games because there was one preview. I think it was on The Verge. Which I know people laugh about The Verge because LOL, their PC building guide, that was hilarious. This was like 2 years ago at this point. God, it's been 2 years since that PC building guide fiasco. Oh my God, I'm getting old. So you look at what they're doing with the Switch OLED. There was that preview that said it almost looked like the difference in the screen quality and the vibrancy of the colors and everything almost looked like it was a more powerful Switch just because of how much the games pop in comparison. No. Like when you held this Switch next to it, you're just like, well, this is night and day. Yeah. Like once you see it, you don't want to go back kind of thing. And maybe that's what Nintendo is relying on with this, is to be like, yeah, okay, people might not be super excited until they see people with one. And they're like, word of mouth gets through. Like, dude, you thought you played Breath of the Wild. Have you played it on an OLED?
Yeah, maybe.
Now, some people say, oh, yeah, I played it on my OLED TV. And that's fine. Some of you guys do have OLED TVs. I don't have any. I do have an OLED device. My iPhone has an OLED screen. But I don't game a lot on it to really know, especially console-like games. And then I don't have an OLED TV, so that you kick that to the curb, or any OLED monitors. So I personally don't know a lot about OLED. Haven't experienced a lot of OLED. I've seen it, just not in my own house on the daily. So it's one of those. It's possible that once I see it on here.
Yeah.
Okay. And similar to the LAN port, one thing to be excited about, now that they went OLED, how do you ever go back in the future?
Mm-hmm.
So it should be an OLED future, LAN port future.
You'd figure.
You hope.
You'd figure.
You hope.
Again, here comes friend codes with the axe.
Oh, God. But yeah, so you obviously still aren't interested, but like, at least right now.
Yeah.
And obviously you already own a Switch. It's not more powerful, so you're not going to get anything better out of it. It does, I always forget to mention, it does have 64 gigs more storage. Or like, it has 64 gigs of local storage. So now I think every game that's ever released on Switch should be able to be played digitally downloaded. It might only fit one game, because some games are pretty big. Mm-hmm. But I think every game ever released on Switch, you should be able to run it without having to buy an SD card.
Okay.
Which is a big deal, because that wasn't true on this one.
Right. Yeah. No. I have a
especially
decent,
for kids.
I have a decent
even though you gotta keep uninstalling and reinstalling. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It's kind of a big deal that like you buy NBA, 2K, and you can't run it on your local storage if you bought it digitally. You have to buy an SD card.
Yeah.
And I would love to see them pack in at least
SD card,
a 128 card in the box.
Yeah. I think I have a 256.
Because like they did a 4 gig with a 3DS. Why couldn't they just give us something? I'm not saying 4 gigs, that's nothing, but for 3DS it was something. But for this, like, pack in an extra 64. So people start with 128. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah.
They didn't do that though. So.
No, of course not.
So
well, that we know of, because we haven't seen any.
We've seen the box and we've seen what's supposed to become with it and all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's no SD card or micro SD card.
But yes.
You haven't seen the box?
No.
Oh, all right. I can't show it on screen for you guys because I don't know if you guys heard me. When I was gone on vacation, one of my main monitor, actually, the one monitor I don't want to go down is now down and being repaired under warranty, and I got to wait a week or two. The new panel coming in. So the monitor we usually have right here that I could hit a button and switch to and show you guys stuff, I can't do that right now because that monitor is now over there and too far away for me to be doing stuff on. So, but I do want to show you this OLED box. Nintendo. That is no. There we go. It's like open up it or not, or just take me to a website. Sure.
Yeah. Why not?
Sure.
This is great.
This is the way the internet works. Oh yeah. Do you accept cookies? If you say no, the website closes. Yeah. Do you accept? What did it just ask?
I don't know.
Oh, will you turn off ad block? No. Okay. And some sites will just kick you out.
Yeah. Right.
So that's the dock.
Yep.
So
rounded corners.
Yep, the rounded corners, and then LAN port on the back.
Yep.
There's that. There's the kickstand.
Yep, that's the whole up kickstand. That's what it should have been from the beginning.
There was the box. Right there. So now it's like a tall box instead of a wide box.
Gotcha. Okay.
And as I said, see, OLED's down on the bottom. It's separate from Nintendo Switch.
Yep.
So it's like OLED's on there as a marketing point, but it's not actually part of the system.
Right.
And as far as we're aware, the Joy-Cons haven't been improved. That would have been one thing that would have got people by like crazy if they came with fixed Joy-Cons.
But again, that would again be them admitting that there was something wrong with them to begin with. And are they still on that bandwagon that there's nothing wrong with them?
Well, they have like 30 plus pending lawsuits. So I would say they're just still on that bandwagon that there's nothing wrong.
Okay, yeah.
Even though they kind of acknowledged it and then they quickly backtracked when the lawsuits came in. They're like,
right.
Oh, yeah, kind of, sort of. Hey, free repairs in North America. Lawsuit hits. There's nothing wrong.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no.
There's no design flaw. We're good.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It drifts on the same average of any controller that's ever existed. That's why it's called Joy-Con drift, and everyone knows about it on the internet because it's just normal.
I'll believe that one.
It's normal if you own a Switch.
I'll believe that when my shit turns purple.
It's normal if you own a Switch.
Yeah.
Someone mentioned because the Tetris Effect was announced today.
Oh, yeah.
For coming to Switch. I don't know if you've ever played it. You can play it on your phone.
No.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's a really fun game, and it's gorgeous.
I'm not good at Tetris. I am not good at Tetris at all.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I think we were playing Puyo Puyo Tetris Effect. You were born to Puyo Puyo.
Yeah. I was way better at that.
Anyway, so yeah, it looks gorgeous, and it's coming to Switch, and I just keep thinking that on OLED.
Mm-hmm. That would be.
People are like, I have OLED TVs. One thing I will tell you about OLED, and this is true of any TV really, is the Switch, when you dock it, can run at 1080p. Most of our TVs that you probably own are 4K. At least you bought a recent one. Maybe you're still using an old one that's 1080p. But even games aren't really running at 1080p. OLED, obviously, besides being a really cool technology, so say you have if you have an OLED panel, it's probably 4K. There was very few people who bought OLED when it was only 1080p. It was too expensive. So if you OLED, it's probably a 4K panel. And the game isn't going to look good anyways because it would be really blurry trying to take a 1080p or a 900p or even a 720p, whatever it's outputting to your TV, and upscaling that. It's just not going to look good anyways. But on here, where games, even at 540p running on here, it's such a small screen. The pixel density is so shrunk down that it's going to really pop. Mm-hmm. At least that's what that's what I expect.
Yeah.
That's what the previewers are telling me.
Yeah.
Now, they could be overhyping it.
Yeah, hopefully.
I don't know why, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
what do they care? What do they care if it sells?
Yeah. Well, maybe they got a backdoor deal that nobody's supposed
ads
to know
from
about.
Nintendo.
Yeah.
Shh, they're not supposed to get paid. Man.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess speaking of media.
Yeah.
This isn't really a media thing, but there was an interview that happened at VentureBeat, aka the Games Beat section, so the video game part of VentureBeat. And they interviewed J.C. Smith, the senior director of consumer marketing for the Pokemon company.
Nice.
And okay, Pokemon. We don't talk about Pokemon much on here. Neither of us really play that much. But what's the one game we're kind of curious if they're going to pull it
Arceus,
off?
Yeah.
Legends Arceus, right? Obviously, Pokemon Snap. Got it. Been there, done that. By the way, I know you haven't done it yet. Oh my God, they just added a free update to it that added like flying, and I'm just
wow. Yeah.
I'm telling this is if you loved Pokemon Snap as a kid, the new Pokemon Snap is like 10 times better. It's insanely good.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe after the podcast you sit down and play it for a little bit, see what you think. But it's really good. Yeah, they nailed it. They nailed it. I could not ask for Pokemon Snap to be better than it is now. And then that update, you're like, that update just came out of nowhere. The amount of content and oh my God. Anyways, and it was free.
That's all.
Pokemon Company never gives you things for free.
Wait a minute. Are they sick?
Free. They're following Nintendo's lead, which is thank you for that. But because I thought the game,
Nintendo's idea.
Well, I thought the game was complete, so it wasn't like one of those where it feels like it needs content. Like Splatoon, you're like, it needs those content updates to justify the game, the purchase of the game. Yeah. No, Pokemon Snap felt complete. The new Pokemon Snap, and then they did it anyways. So that's what I like. Happy surprises.
Nice.
So anyways, J.C. Smith. GamesBeat asked J.C. Smith, we also have Pokemon Legends Arceus coming out next year. When do you think we'll hear more about that? Because guess what? We still haven't. Since the reveal. Remember when we reacted to the reveal?
Yeah.
Like, it's been like 5 months.
Yeah.
And we still have not seen the game again, and it comes out in January.
Oh, heck yeah.
January 28th.
Right. Which then leads probably...
So literally this, when the hell are we going to see this game or hear about it again?
Yeah.
It's coming in January.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't exist. Hasn't been a commercial, hasn't been a trailer, hasn't been nothing.
Yeah. I would assume within a month. I would say middle September at the latest.
That's what I guess. Well, let's see here. So J.C. Smith responded by saying, that one, we have a robust rollout. Okay. Which, by the way, the Pokemon Company always kind of rolls out the red carpet for almost every game they release. It's just when are they going to do the rollout? Because it comes in January. The rollout can't wait till January. I think it might start in December. Just the marketing aspect of it, because they might want to let the other Pokemon games release first in November and then hit you in December. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying they're going to wait that long to see it. I'm just saying that the actual regular, like a trailer a week, dev interviews, all that, I think won't happen until December. But here's what he said. So that one, we have a robust rollout, but not a lot that I can share at this time. But the team has a lot of great things to share, and you'll be hearing from us soon. Now, as always, soon can be
relative.
Soon can be next week.
Relative.
Soon could be 3 months from now. It's relative to what they compare soon to, and we never know. Now, what we can say is soon probably means not a year from now, because the game comes out in January. Right. So soon means sometime before January for sure. This has led some people to believe, because That's not the only game they have to talk about. We have Pokemon remakes, or no, not demakes. They are better looking. People are just like, they're not what we want. I mean, they're still remakes. Or remasterings, or whatever you want to call them. They're coming out in November, and they aren't talking about those yet either. So it's kind of like, clearly they have a lot they need to start talking about with Pokemon, and they need to talk about it soon. And again, we thought there would be a Pokemon Presents before E3. Didn't happen. Then we're like, oh man, maybe they are going to advertise it at E3. Didn't advertise it at 3. Oh, maybe they're going to do it after E3. Didn't do it right after E3.
Yeah, still haven't seen anything.
I mean, Switch OLED. Maybe it's supposed to be announced before E3, maybe not. Ended up not. Then people thought, oh, maybe at E3 it wasn't. And then, like a month later, boom, here it is. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's been more than a month, and we still don't have boom, here's the Pokemon.
Right.
But now we have this guy saying, but you're going to be hearing from us soon. And in particular to Pokemon Legends Arceus, which would be weird if we're going to hear about that soon, but not the other games that come out first. So to me, is he kind of hint, can't confirm till we announce, there's a Pokemon Presents coming, and it's going to come soon. Like, maybe by the end of this month.
Yeah. No, that's
because we just got an Indie World today, which we'll get into that in a bit. Just got an Indie World today. And then we got, potentially, based on the history of Nintendo, a Direct next month. Because that's just traditionally September's had a Direct like every year but one. And it's always with the Indie World in August, Direct in September. So, we'll see. But the Indie World happening now kind of really hypes up the fact that, okay, we're probably getting a Direct next month. But they don't really talk about Pokemon games in Directs.
Right.
So, if that's going to be happening next month at some point, even if it's still not till the end of the month, at some point, which there's going to be just because they got to market stuff for the holidays anyway. So there's going to be another Direct anyways. Okay. Pokemon Presents got to squeeze between there somewhere. And it's the 25th anniversary this year of Pokemon. Yeah. It's like they did the 25th blowout, and they gave us those, and we just haven't heard from them since. It's like Pokemon Company doesn't exist. It's weird. It's weird. They have 2 major releases coming out in the next 5 months. Yeah. We haven't heard anything since they were announced.
That's pretty nuts.
So, I get the marketing rollout's going to focus a lot more on the games in November, probably, than Pokemon Legends Arceus at the moment. But Pokemon Presents is going to have new info for it. Because what Legends Arceus is if you're mad about these games, we got this one. This is our justification for not doing what you expected with these games, because our team is working on this. We outsource this. So, it's trying to be like, okay, this isn't what we've done before with other remasters, but that's because we're not the ones making it. That's kind of we need money this year because we're used to getting money at regularly every year. So here's our release. Okay, maybe it's not the greatest, but it does look better. And if you didn't play the originals or they're your favorites, well, here you go. And by the way, if you're not into it, it's cool. Just wait till January. Just wait for 2 months. And we'll give you the big open world Pokemon game that you've been dreaming of since you were a kid. Yeah. Some of you guys probably still are kids. And never even thought, maybe you've been hoping it'd be open world this whole time when you were a kid, because you grew up in the world of open world. We didn't necessarily grow up with a bunch of open world games when we were kids. It wasn't that common. Quest 64, you had obviously the original Legend of Zelda, but there wasn't a ton of open world games back in those days. And now it's like, any sort of action adventure game that comes out feels like it's open world. Yeah. So, do you think we're going to Pokemon Presents this month? Let's go with this month. And what would be expectations if there is going to be one? Besides, I guess I don't know. What do you want to see? What do we need to see from Legends?
Gameplay.
But we saw gameplay. So what do you want? More. What do you want in that gameplay? What would be the? Well, let's start with. Do you think it's coming this month?
I would say just after Labor Day.
Just after Labor Day. Okay.
So beginning next month.
Okay. So you think beginning of
September?
September.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay. Beginning of September.
I was thinking beginning of September.
Well, I kept thinking Labor Day school.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that's next month. Okay.
So first, second week of September.
Okay. Now, for Legends Arceus in particular, since that's what this question was about, what do you want to see from that gameplay? Because you remember the old gameplay, right?
Improved gameplay, because it was super jittery, if I remember correctly. The
frame rate.
The frame rate was not good. So improved frame rate, actual better quality gameplay than what we actually saw. Maybe some of the new features that there are in there, more of the new features, because I know we did see more open world kind of sneak up
The
on
cinematics,
Pokemon.
the kind of
Things
cinematic.
like, yeah, exactly like that. But actually, keep it out of the cinematic world. Go more actual full, like a treehouse type gameplay would be nice.
That, I mean, I would love that. I don't think they're going to do that. They usually don't except
again,
at E3.
They haven't done anything this open world or this ambitious to Pokemon since
Ever.
like Pokemon.
Ever.
The very first ones. Because
the first ones weren't that way.
I mean, obviously it's the first one, so it's ambitious.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about ambition.
Yeah.
Ambition.
Yeah.
There'll be some fans that would
Right.
argue with you. There's other games that it doesn't matter.
No. But this big of a change in gameplay.
Again, it's a Breath of the Wild
yeah,
change.
right. It is.
We haven't seen Breath of the Wild since the very first Legend of Zelda game. The very first one, and they haven't. Well, I guess Zelda 2 was kind of that way too. But besides those ones, it had been a long time since the 80s since we had seen it. And here we go. Here it is in modern day. We've never seen it in a 3D Zelda game before, so that was a big deal. It was a huge change.
Right.
It really caught people off guard, especially how the story was told. Guess what? How did the story in Zelda 1 and Zelda 2 were told in the manual? So
Yeah, right.
I'm just like, that's the last open world Zeldas we had, and you read a manual. They don't really give you those anymore. So
Or Nintendo Power.
or Nintendo Power, or Hyrule Historia.
Yeah.
At this
Yeah,
point now.
yeah.
But okay.
So that would be really cool to see.
What gameplay? Okay,
gameplay.
so let's say they show us footage.
Yeah.
It doesn't look jittery.
Mhm.
It finally looks like they smooth it out, probably at 30 FPS, whatever. But it's smooth.
Yeah.
It's not. Doesn't look like it's dipping or chugging. Okay, that is a big thing. A lot of us, I think, want to see because that was always we're really stoked about this, but also, man, that looks.
If this is what we're gonna keep seeing and it's gonna be actual gameplay.
Well, remember, like when
is
we
gonna
saw
be-
it, you know, I don't think either of us thought it was coming January.
Yeah. Right.
Because we didn't have a release date at the time. And it's
Right.
really weird that they gave us a release date with no new footage
Yeah.
right before E3.
Right.
It's like, okay, we have release dates for these games, no footage, not even new screenshots.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Why? Why?
I don't know.
I don't know what the Pokemon company's doing right now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, rolling in their fat stats.
Oh,
is
yeah,
what
for
they're
sure.
doing.
100%.
Pokemon Go alone, they're
Oh,
just
yeah.
rolling
Yeah.
around. Okay, so yeah, let's assume that the gameplay looks smooth out. Like they finally polished it. It looks good.
Mhm.
What else do you want to see from it? Like we talked about before, like this open world concept, like the Pokemon game of our dreams.
Mhm.
But what's in the dream besides just having an open world? Like, what do you
Oh,
want to
man.
see? Because remember, like it's still Pokemon that we
Right.
fell out
Right.
with.
Yeah.
So what about this besides it just being an open world makes you want to play? Like what would you want to see to make you be like, okay, yeah, it's open, free exploration, but
Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know what I don't know. That's the problem. I don't know what I want to actually get me back into this. It'd be nice to see, we see like the sneak up on the Pokemon. We see the things like that. It'd be nice to see the some other newer ways of catching Pokemon, the newer aspects of this game, and to see more of it, to see are there gyms, are there what's in replacement of gyms if there's no gyms, what's the point of the game besides catching Pokemon? What is kind of it,
what if that is the point?
I guess that's 'cause
that's one reason
there are a
the
lot of,
gym
like-
badges were cool, but gotta catch them all.
well, but then also the Elite Four was the final goal.
Sure.
What's the
Want to be a champion
Right. What's the motivation behind the character in the game?
and want to do it before your arch rival.
I mean, yes, there is that. You mean ass face? No.
So I don't know if I'd like this, but it didn't look like this is the direction it was going, but I would like to see the open world be actually open. And what I mean by you engage with a Pokemon and you're battling it with your Pokemon to weaken it, but other Pokemon could potentially run into you and be attacking you while you're in the midst of that battle. So it's a
Yeah.
truly open experience, like in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, no, it's not.
You
Yeah.
fight a guy, and other guys might end up coming up and attacking you while you're already fighting somebody else. Because that's just the way it is. It's an open world.
I
It's
didn't
not.
think-
It's not.
you're right.
The combat is not segmented. And I get
Yeah.
that there was a point where it looked like he was throwing the Pokeball in the open world. He was
Mhm.
crawling through the grass and he threw the ball. But the actual combat,
Yeah.
it's always been this turn-based. And like, what if it's not that?
Yeah.
What if it's not turn-based? Like, what if it's action oriented. You could actually have multiple Pokemon coming at you. Like if you're attacking like a Pidgey or whatever, and it does a call out, and all of a sudden there's a flock of them coming at you, kind of like in Zelda, like and all of a sudden you're facing all of them. You got to decide: is it worth trying to catch this one Pidgey, or do we get the hell out of here? Yeah. Like and I would be. I know this doesn't. Well, I don't want to say death doesn't happen in Pokemon because it does, at least in the animated series.
Yeah, it's all fainting, but
like, wouldn't it be interesting if there was like punishments for like you? Okay, I got my Charmander out here and I'm trying to catch a Squirtle and I'm being a dumbass and the Squirtle kicks his ass and it actually dies. The flame goes out and it dies and it's like, wait a second. Yeah. Did I just lose my Charmander?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
That would
like Dark Soul the shit out of this.
That'd be a dark turn on this.
Well, it's more so like I don't think they're gonna do that part, but like I would like to see some open world concepts besides just we have free exploration. Yeah, but when we engage, once we're engaged, once we're in combat, let's not do traditional Pokemon battles because that takes you out of it. It's not really an open world if every time you encounter an enemy, it takes you out of it. I mean, it is. That's the way old games where you'd walk around in an overworld and run into a random. But like, but we're past that now. We can see the enemies, so like it should. I feel like I would like them to incorporate that. Yeah. I don't know that they're going to. It didn't look like they were leaning that way, but it wasn't like I go back and watch that footage and I go, okay, they're not doing. They didn't show enough of actual combat for me to really know how it's being done. Probably still turn-based, but is it?
I don't know how you wouldn't do turn-based though.
Really? Have you ever played like Pocket Tournament?
No.
It's a fighting game with Pokemon. Yeah. Or just Smash and have Pokemon go against each other. Why do you have to have turns? Why do I have to wait for the person to call out an attack before I decide what I'm going to call out an attack? Like when you, I know that in the animated series that's traditionally how it goes. One person calls it, but not always. Sometimes it's more dynamic than that. Yeah. So.
And then sometimes
I feel like
just says screw.
I've always felt like I get the turn-based thing, and I'm not saying the series overall should go away from turn-based, but I do think like having a side dish to the series that is drastically different and makes it actually feel realistic, like real combat, not just turn, counter, turn, counter, like actually have to be action, basically an action-oriented version of Pokemon versus turn-based. Yeah, I guess like an action RPG instead of just an RPG, turn-based RPG. That's what I think. That's what I hope to see from this, in addition to the exploration, because then that makes the world really open. The world is really your oyster then. Yeah. Because anything can happen.
Cool. That'd be cool.
No, I don't know. What's weird, of course, about Pokemon games, of course, is that the character themselves don't get attacked by anybody. It's like, what's the risk to the character?
Yeah.
But in the animated series, they do.
Jesse and James get blasted off into space again.
But I mean, it's not just them. Like Ash has been electrocuted. Like in the animated series, the actual people in the world can be attacked by Pokemon, but it can't happen in the games. I know they'll do a pretend like, oh, this person. Not really. You walk around the world, you're not getting attacked. Your Pokemon are getting attacked. Yeah. So would it be interesting if like you don't have a Pokemon out, right? Like all your Pokeballs are put away, and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna casually run up and pet this, Ponyta or whatever, and the Ponyta's like, fuck, I fucking hate you, and just kicks you, and your character goes flying. I mean, it's not gonna have Breath of the Wild physics. Let's not go that far. But like just like having the Pokemon actually physically attack and actually be able to hurt you.
That could be,
like that's a massive change.
That could be interesting. Yeah.
Instead of it being like, oh, you engage, like, yeah, that works in turn. Oh, you're engaged. Now do your turn-based combat. Yeah. Or like, I'm running around and I'm an idiot and I stepped on a Caterpie and now it's fucking pissed and it bites me. Yeah. And it comes after me and it keeps coming after me. Yeah. Like, I don't know. And like, I don't know what you do because like,
yeah,
I don't know if I've ever seen the NPCs fight back against the Pokemon. Yeah. I mean, how are you going to fight back against Razor Leaf? Like, Razor Leaf, punch? Oh crap! You cut off my arm. Yeah. Well,
Scyther.
Like, oh, that didn't go my way. Like, Pokemon are scary, man. Yeah, dude. That's why they haven't had them attack the NPCs. Because, like, dude, Pokemon themselves are scary. Yeah, the Pokemon world is totally all the Pokemon hate being captured. They hate this. They hate that. Then they would be killing people.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry. Have you met wild animals? They kill people. Yeah. Don't mess with them too much, or they will f you up. Yeah.
We've had a couple super chats. Looks like.
Yeah, I see one. I don't know if we
there
had.
was another one up earlier.
Was
I
there?
saw it. Yeah.
Oh, 2 of them.
Yeah,
Right?
a couple of them. At least I know.
Oh yeah,
for sure
there's
I've seen-
a blue one in here somewhere. Right here. Logan LeBlanc. He's just happy that Eric and Nate are back together again. E3 flashback.
Oh God, no!
not long.
Q war flashback.
So the shots I'm doing for the super chats today, we're doing a little Rosada Moscato d'Asti, aka
Bless
I
you.
am completely out of beer. Did you say pussy?
I said bless you.
Oh, so did you say pussy then? I'm butting the Goldschlager out.
Oh
So don't be messing with me. I got some
Yeah.
real shit. I just
Yeah.
don't have any like drinks right now.
no.
Or-
You were like blah 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 blah.
Or cock tequila.
I'm like bless you.
Cock tequila.
Yeah.
So we'll get a one port up of this. This is a wine. And then we had another $5 super chat come in from Taker610. Who says OLED is a Drew Holiday layup when we really wanted the two-handed stuff from Giannis.
Yes.
When did we first hear of the NX? Because Switch 2 got to be 2022.
God.
The NX we heard of the NX name was first rolling around in reports in 2015. Yeah, that's the earliest we heard about NX from what I can recall. Someone might be able to find an article from 2014, but I'm pretty sure 2015 was the earliest. But that's a good analogy, like, because Drew Holiday, especially in the playoffs, was missing some of those layups.
Oh God, yeah.
So it's like, you never knew if the layup was going to go in. So it's like one of those, is Switch OLED good or not? I don't know. I mean, we should know, but we don't.
Yeah. Well, we really need.
But like, what we really wanted was
With the damn
Giannis throwing
throw.
it down with a 50-piece
Yeah.
in the finals
Yeah.
and closing things out and giving us the domination. That's what we really want. I mean, come on, that's what we really wanted, but that's not what happened.
I mean, this happened, so at least there's that.
So we say, I mean, Drew Holiday made some layups that helped that happen.
Yeah,
So like,
yeah.
maybe the Switch OLED is the Drew
Lead
Holiday
up
layup
to
that
the-
leads to.
The honest slam.
Or maybe the Giannis Slam is just going to end up being next gen.
Could be.
And we just like, okay, yeah, it sucked, but then look what Nintendo did. $300, and we have a 4K Switch.
Yeah,
Ooh,
right,
and it's not because of DLSS. It actually is native 4K. Ooh. I don't know if it's gonna happen,
You're gonna go back to chipmunk voice here on your own?
but maybe. No, if I did that in the chipmunk voice,
Oh God, you would blow everybody's eardrums out. Yeah.
I'd be breaking glass.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you guys so much for the super chats. So yeah, I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic, but also, I mean, do you like the ideas I presented for the game?
Yeah,
I don't
no,
even know.
absolutely.
Like, it's just
Yeah, no,
these
no,
are on the
for
top of my
sure.
head. I didn't even
Yeah.
think about this ahead of time.
No,
I was
absolutely. No, those would be interesting additions for sure. Just to be able to attack, multiple at one time and things like that. And didn't they have multi? I mean, they've had multi battles in.
You mean 2 Pokemon at once?
Yeah.
I think that they've done that before.
But they've never had one where you're sitting in the middle of a battle and all of a sudden a new one kind of
like hits you from the side.
enters in from a different
Yep.
type of thing. But no, that'd be definitely interesting. When are you thinking that the Pokemon Presents is going to be done?
I think if there is going to be one before the Nintendo Direct,
Do you think it's going to be this month?
I think it's this month.
Yeah.
I think they'll want to do it. One, Pokemon has appeal to everybody, including kids.
Yep.
Do it before school starts.
Yep. So let me rephrase mine a little bit. I think it's going to be right around the Labor Day weekend. So either slightly before, like that Friday before, or the Tuesday after.
Okay.
That's when I'm kind of that time frame. I think is just right before or right after.
All right. And then again, we don't even know if it's happening.
Right.
We just know this guy from the Pokemon company said we're going to hear about Legends Arceus soon. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know what it means. I'm not that. So today, and this is might be where we want to get your phone out because I don't know if do you see today's Indie World?
No.
Yes. You want to get your phone out to at least look at some of the
Really
highlights
did
from
not
it. Or
see any at all.
I don't know about games. So today we had an Indie World. I was planning to live stream it, but I honestly was sleeping while it happened, so it is what it is. Yulia's parents had the kids for part of today, so I just literally slept through it. But I did watch it after the fact, and honestly, It wasn't anything that, like, there have been other indie worlds where I was really impressed with the game shown. This time around, I just thought it was okay, except for one announcement, of course. Axiom Verge 2, which we hadn't heard about for a while, literally released today. Out of nowhere. No one knew it was happening. And it released today. Shadow drop in the middle of that indie world. And I thought that was a really, really great announcement. Just because we've been waiting a long time for the sequel to Axiom Verge. So to have it come out and drop today, that's a big deal. The rest of the games, I mean, again, I don't think any of the games look bad. It's not like I watched it and thought, this game looks like shit. Or this game looks like Nintendo's very choosy about what they put in their indie worlds, and so they almost always look good. They just...
Okay.
None of it really interested me. Like, some people, asked me, after it happened, and I got some DMs like, hey, what do you think of the indie world? And I didn't really say anything. And they said, are you even into indie games? Well, I think that's a fair question, because, like, I honestly, on my channel, obviously don't cover a lot of indie stuff, right? Like, I don't, like, when there's big news on an indie game, unless it's something like maybe on the bigger side, like a No More Heroes, which is funded by Nintendo, I don't really, or like when we had...
Octopath,
but Octopath, again, that's not indie. That's Square Enix.
Oh, yeah.
So, but like...
it just feels...
Trying to think of
it feels more indie.
No, the... what is it? A Golf Story.
Oh, yeah.
But again, that was building off of my personal hype for Mario Golf.
Story.
Yeah, right? That wasn't even in this. We're waiting for that. Just like people were hoping we see Hollow Knight Silk Song. Didn't get that. But like people ask me, have you been in indie? And like I go through my list. Like here are my most recent played games. And this should give you an idea of how many indie games there is. So I got Monopoly. Play that with the kids. Smash Bros. Skyward Sword HD. Ukulele, which technically is an indie game. Mm-hmm. But obviously, if you're a Banjo-Kazooie fan, you can understand why you maybe check that out. Splatoon 2, Super Mario 3D All-Stars, Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, the Super Nintendo app, Snipper Clips, which was a launch indie game, but again, Nintendo paid for it.
When are we getting the Snipper Clips 2?
Pikmin 3 Deluxe demo. My kids must have did that one because that demo doesn't work.
Nice.
Maybe that demo still does work. I don't know why they didn't just play Pikmin 3.
Because they probably didn't realize.
Super Kirby Clash. Mario Kart 8.
Yeah.
And like after Mario Kart 8, it's Yoshi's Crafted World, Pokemon Quest, Breath of the Wild, Mario Golf, Animal Crossing, Battle for Bikini Bottom. So like Port Rel 4, I don't know if you consider that an indie game. Like I don't play a ton of indie games. That doesn't mean I don't enjoy some. Yeah. Overcooked 2, love Overcooked. Mm-hmm. So much fun. Like I enjoy indie games when I play them. Mm-hmm. It's just I think there's part of me that I think what happened with me with indie games is I have, like you, limited time to game.
Yeah.
So, especially now that I'm a parent, 3 kids, I'm in college and all that. So, like, I'm really busy. So when I do game, I'm probably going to spend my time playing the big games I haven't finished yet. Because by the time I'm done with those big games, there's more big games that I haven't finished yet.
One game that you should try, I just played it on PS5 this last weekend here. Moving Out.
Oh, yeah. Well, you were excited about that game last time it was
That game was freaking awesome.
Yeah, you were excited about it before. So I'm not surprised that that game's really good. So, like, that's just one of those situations where I personally don't play a ton of indie games. But I think it's just a time thing. And you might be like, well, indie games are perfect for time. But I want to play the big ones, too.
Right.
Like, and it takes me so long to get through the big ones that I just don't have the time. So I feel like I almost feel like indie games are almost a younger, like, even though it's weird because they should appeal to people who grew up with games, right? Mm-hmm. But I almost feel like it's a younger person's thing. Mm-hmm. Like, if I was 21, 22,
and had time to play
in college, no kids,
games in the world.
You know, I'm just focused on college, no kids, and I'm playing, back to playing 20, 30, 40 hours a week of video games. Like, okay, yeah, because I'd probably be done with the big games really quick, and I need something to fill my time, so then I would play more indie games.
Yeah.
But since it takes me so long, like Skyward Sword, I'm not even halfway through yet.
To be completely honest, I haven't even opened it. But I do have it downloaded, I do have it purchased.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not even halfway through it, and it's probably going to take me another month before I'm done with it. And it's like, that's just my reality. And by the time I'm done with that, I mean, guess what other games are out? We got WarioWare coming out.
Yeah.
By the time I'm done with that, we got Metroid Dread. So like, there's enough big games that come
Pokemon.
out often enough that I end up not really needing the indie games. Now, some people prefer indie games, and that's fine.
No, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with indie games.
But man, I need a drink. Oh my gosh, where's my water? Am I out of water? No, I'm not. Sorry, folks. You know, I've been coughing. It's because I have a dry throat.
Way to go.
Need to wet it up. I know. I left my drink sitting over there.
Oh, yeah.
So like, I haven't had anything to drink for like 2 hours.
Right. Your 4-pack of Mountain
Yeah, let's
Dew.
not talk about the Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I don't know. I mean, you just had a chance to glass some of the games. Anything kind of stand out to you at all? Because like, I think indie games might be more interesting to you than me. Even though you're in a similar situation, because every time you have you here and you react to indie games, you seem to get really excited, like Moving Out.
Yeah.
You know, and stuff like that. You seem to get, even Back 4 Blood, I think, is an independent game.
Back for Blood. Yeah, dude, that looks freaking sick. You know, I don't know if this is the.
That wasn't it. Eastward. Yep.
Oh, is that Eastward?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Eastward. That comes out next month.
Okay.
That was the one they ended the direct.
That one looks cool.
Yeah, that was the one they ended the direct with.
And then I see the obligatory.
Or the direct, Indie World.
There's the Tetris Effect.
Yep.
Connected.
So people were pretty excited about that one, even though it's been out on other stuff.
Loop Hero.
It's really good. That's
interesting. That's Shovel Knight.
Yep, there was a not traditional shovel. It's like a puzzle game.
Okay.
Shovel Knight.
Yeah. Oh, it looks actually. Yeah. Now that you said it's like a Bejeweled.
Yeah.
Almost looks
Yeah,
like.
It's kind of like a puzzle game.
Where did I see? The Metal Slug. Obviously, you got to have some sort of Metal Slug.
Although it's like a It's like a tactical.
Yeah, it's a tactical. Yeah, tactics.
It's
It's
not like
literally
your
Metal
normal-
Slug Tactics. No, this one isn't.
Someone said the Jet Set radio clone looks cool.
Yeah.
Doggy mentions that Minecraft was an indie game, and I don't like playing Minecraft, so.
I mean, I was big into Minecraft back in the day.
I wouldn't call it an indie game anymore.
Not anymore.
Microsoft
No,
owns
definitely.
it. And
They've it's way different than the original game. But yeah. No, I mean it's indie games, there's absolutely nothing wrong with them. But well, besides the bloat indie games, but
bloat. Explain.
the absolute shitloads of shit that used to bloat the store of absolute trash indie games.
You mean that still bloats every store?
No, I know. Yeah.
Like that hasn't gone anywhere.
No, I know.
Have you been
That's
on
why-
your phone
that's-
lately? Go look at latest
No,
releases.
I know. No, that's what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with indie games except those. Those are plenty wrong with.
And yet they make up a majority of releases.
I know.
That's
And
sad.
make a piss ton of money because people download them and to see what the hell they are and then get sucked into one purchase and then go, oh shit, this is stupid. Done. That's all he needs is the one purchase. You're good.
So earlier we talked about Switch OLED. We talked about how it has 64 gigs of internal storage. We didn't spend much time on it, on that part of it. But I think it's interesting that Nintendo's adding. Because I kept thinking, I've thought this for a while. Why is Nintendo adding extra storage? Like I don't, like only 32. That's not that much. Like why? Why even bother at that point, right? Like just to justify the price point. That's the only thing I could think of. And even then, it only cost them a few pennies to add the 32 gigs. So, like, really, does that matter? And then Samus Hunter said something earlier today I thought was really interesting. And it's related to the reason Nintendo might be increasing it. So it says, one interesting aspect, this is directly off Samus Hunter's Twitter account, for next year will be crucial for several releases, will be an increased presence of 32 gigabyte game cards. Until now, they were used very little. They did exist. There's like, I think 5 total games on Switch that use them. Both because of the price and because Switch needed a micro SD for game sizes larger than 25 gigs. Okay? Because that's about what you have available after the OS and everything.
Yeah.
On your internal storage. All right, so from 2022, with the release of Switch OLED, Nintendo will no longer have limitations on a maximum size for game. By the way, that's a bit of a misnomer because you can argue the limitation would just be the upper limitation of 64. But again, that's neither here nor there. That's just me being like, yeah, technically that doesn't mean there's not limits.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I mean, I could drop a terabyte game on there, and
right.
I'm sure it'd break.
I mean, they are terabyte micro SD. Oh, yeah, but then you need more than that. You need a 2 terabyte because the terabyte would have redundancy, and you lose like 200 gigs of it.
Yeah. I told you.
Dang it.
You can, there is a limit.
When there's no limits. The cloud, baby, the cloud. Play it in the cloud. And it's 0.
Yeah.
It's like a few megabytes on my Switch.
Yeah.
Right. Anyways, going on to what she said. So it says, Nintendo will no longer have limitations on a maximum size for the games it produces, and major releases like the sequel to Breath of the Wild and Xenoblade, so Xenoblade 3 she's talking about, will take advantage of it to create even bigger games. With the increased production, costs will also decrease, bringing third parties closer to releasing their titles in physical format or even bringing in new games not yet released. Now, for third parties, that's been a big criticism. Like, even when they give you a physical card, it's like an 8 gig card and you download 30 gigs of the actual game to play because it's not all on the cart. And 32 gigabyte carts, by the way, have been around since the beginning, but they were really expensive and they weren't mass produced. Yeah. But if they're going to be mass produced, which brings the cost down, she brings up things like the Breath of the Wild sequel, taking advantage of this increase in space. Like the original Breath of the Wild was 13.4 gigs on Switch. I think this is before the DLC. So I keep thinking, like, if it's going to use this game and future Switch games from Nintendo are going to try to take advantage of the increase to 32 gigs for a standard card, what happens to these games? Because 32 is like double the size of basically, because we got let's just say 14 gigs. Yeah. Or you want to round to the nearest 15 gigs for Breath of the Wild. Probably with the DLC, it's probably closer to 15 gigs. Yeah. So let's say, so you double that to 30, right? So you have a 30 gig Breath of the Wild 2. Like, what does that even mean? Like, I'm trying to process this. Yeah, it could mean better assets, by the way. Being made for the ground up for Switch, it could end up having slightly better resolution, maybe there's a better textures, whatever. I have no idea. Yeah. I mean, I thought the footage looked better than the original Breath of the Wild, but again, compression, but I have no idea. We won't know until we see more of it. But, like, they added the sky. And, like, this is just one game. It makes me think, like, if Samus Hunter's right, that the reason to increase it to 64 is because they're going to allow bigger game sizes on cartridges more often, and Nintendo themselves is going to be doing it, which is the shocker, because Nintendo usually has small file sizes. It's like, relative to the size of the game, their file sizes are, like, Breath of the Wild's massive, but it's only 13.4 gigs. Like, what the hell? People are always shocked. Like, 13.4. Look at some of the other open world games that have smaller worlds, and they're, like, 100 gigs. Okay? And I get resolution, everything. But, I mean, Breath of the Wild double the size of it currently is? Like, that's insane to think about.
That could be also, I mean, like, if you even just go stand...
Have Nintendo games been limited because they've been unwilling to use 32 gig cards, I guess is the question.
It's possible. I mean, it's definitely possible. But, I mean, you look at if you say you're going to 32 now, and let's say they have the whole world as it is now, so that's your 13.4 there. Let's say they double it again for the Sky World. I mean, that's what I'm, like, the 2 separate worlds. I mean, that could be almost 26 gigs.
And we can't forget, there's some stuff happening underneath.
I mean, you got an extra 6 gigs to possibly play underneath. I mean, I know you're not going to go completely up to the 32, but, I mean, you can hit 28 pretty easily.
I'm sorry. I'm like just imagining
because you already have
a game that's more than double the size.
You already have an open world. You already have the base map, which we've seen is 13.4. If they up the assets, it might be, like you said, 15. You double that, you're at 26 to 30 because of the sky and underground. And
like not even just this. Like you mentioned Xenoblade 3, which obviously is another kind of open world style game that could use a lot of stuff up. I don't think Splatoon 3 is the kind of game that would be like on a 32 gig cart. But it's like crazy to me that like if Nintendo's going to be using them, that obviously means they're going to be mass producing them because they'll have to make them in the millions. Oh yeah, especially for Breath of the Wild 2, they have to make them in the millions. So that would obviously open up the door to third parties using them more often because again, most of the reason they haven't is cost. Not because they didn't exist, but because of cost. And by the way, Nintendo did tell us at one point there would be 64 gig cards. Hasn't happened. I haven't seen any game even use one, but I don't even know if they exist. if Nintendo's even manufactured one. I don't know if anyone's requested they do. They can.
Yeah.
But setting that aside, just going to where a lot more games are willing to use 32 gig cards now, including third party. I don't agree with games haven't come to Switch because they didn't have 32 gig. Like she mentions, games that weren't coming to Switch because of it will come now. Like I don't know about that, because modern games on like PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X are like 60, 80, 100 plus gigs. But I will say that it does take the games that we currently, like NBA 2K. There's a shot that NBA 2K next year would all be on the cart. That would be really cool. I don't think it's going to make more third party. I don't think, like if I'm a third party developer, I'm not thinking, oh, we can, money wise, we can only afford like the 16 gig cards. We're not going to bring our game over because people have to download the rest of the files. In a world where you have to download and install anything on every other device, on your phone, on your PlayStation 5, on your PlayStation 4 and Xbox, like everything we play on but Switch, or I guess a Leap Pad, because they still made physical things. Like literally, like everything around us, you have to download stuff.
Right.
So like I can't fathom that a third party, like the makers of say GTA, Grand Theft Auto, are like, we can't bring GTA 5 to Switch because we're not going to be able to afford to use a 32 gig card. One, they could afford it, but two, because it's not standard, we're not going to. We've already seen third parties that bring their games over anyways, and then just let you download the rest. Like that's not been. I don't think that's actually been a deterrent. Because look at the environment we live in. That's like saying, you can't bring it to PlayStation because when they put that disc in, guess what? We didn't put all the data on the disc because we have a day one update that's 20 gigs. It's like, okay, so like, how can that be considered? Like, the first time I read that, I was like, I get what you're saying, but I also think that's asinine and stupid because of the world we live in. Nobody is not putting games on Switch because it doesn't fit on a cart.
Yeah,
games already don't fit on the damn discs that they're putting
on.
So like,
and there's a lot more.
Lot
more. Space
they're not releasing games on PlayStation 5 because the whole game's on the disc. Like this is to me an asinine comment. Maybe it's just our personal opinion. Maybe, but I do think there is some logic to say like I kept thinking, why is Nintendo just adding 32 more games? Like that doesn't fix the problem. Like it doesn't have enough storage. Doubling from 32 to 64 does not fix the fundamental fact that you're still going to need to have a micro SD card. It doesn't change the fact if you own a Switch, you're going to need a micro SD card at some point. Especially if you even buying physical games. Say you buy nothing but physical, but you buy a lot of third party. Again, a lot of those third party do require the download, so you're going to need more space. But if the reason is because Nintendo's own games, because I don't think Nintendo's released a single game that doesn't fit on the internal storage. So if Nintendo's own games, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Breath of the Wild 2, will no longer fit on internal Switch storage. Like if you buy it digitally, then, you need to have more storage on there to accommodate that. And then, you're going to be using bigger cartridges.
Yeah.
So, like, just logically, it makes sense. That's why I read some misunderstanding. I'm like, there's probably some truth there, but I think it's just logically correct. But also illogical to say that we're going to get more games that we weren't getting before because of it. I don't think there's any... No. Like, maybe it is true. Maybe she's right, and all of a sudden we're going to get the floodgates are going to open, and that's why we haven't been getting Call of Duty. That's why we haven't. I just don't see that.
I don't see that.
I don't think that's...
I would see maybe an influx of maybe some...
Especially when you think about the comments from a lot of these game developers that are just like, dude, the platform's too weak. It's got nothing to do with the internal storage. Right. It has nothing to do with the cartridge. Not a single developer said, because of the cartridge size, we're not bringing it. No, they've all said, because our game runs like shit on it. We tried it. Runs like shit. Moving on. Yeah. That's been the consistent comment. Like, they don't want to downgrade their games to a point that to them it just doesn't look good enough to be released. It ruins their vision for the game. Right or wrong as that may be, as much as we could say, well, Activision is a huge company, they could have made a Call of Duty exclusive for they could have, but they didn't. Yeah. So like, and the bottom line is, there's a reason like somehow we got Black Ops 2, we got nothing on Switch because at the time that Black Ops 2 came out, people don't want to talk about this. Guess what? There were still versions of that going on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, which the Wii U is comparable to. To bring those games to here, guess what? Now we're on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X or S, and guess what? The Switch isn't even comparable to the systems that came before those ones. So like, the reason we don't get all the third-party games is because they don't want to downgrade their game. Not because the Switch can't run them. Factually, you can downgrade anything enough to make it run. but they don't think their games look. They feel like it ruins their vision, and that it wouldn't just to do that, and to try to make it run okay. Like if you're bringing Call of Duty over, which runs at like 60 FPS, and you want to make it run at 60, and you got to downgrade it a ton, and they probably just don't think. Look, with the downgrades, and it's just not looking that great. We don't think the sales are going to justify us doing that as well. That's just the business perspective. So there's the business side, and then there's the developer side that says, dude, we tried it. It's just we're not willing to make those sacrifices.
That's two completely different games that you have to maintain.
Yeah,
I mean, you have to maintain the current gen and a Switch version. I mean, that's two completely different versions. The new gens are probably similar enough that it's, if not identical.
Well, and the thing is, like say Call of Duty coming this year, like it's built. Well, it'll probably look really great on PlayStation 5 and Series X. It's being built on the old engine that runs on the old platform. They're not actually fully moved over. It's more like it was built for PlayStation 4 and built for Xbox One. But like we'll take advantage of the power if you're using it to create. We'll give you a 4K texture pack. We'll give you this. We'll give you that. Maybe it hits 120 FPS or something. But like, it's not built from the ground up for those platforms. Is what I'm trying to tell you. They're built. It's still being built for the old ones because guess what? There's like 119 million PlayStation 4s out there. They're not just going to ignore that while people are unable to pick up PlayStation 5s.
Yeah.
So like, that's the reality of that situation. Why those platforms will continue to get those games because again, that's the majority of Sony's fan base isn't on PlayStation 5. So they're not going to just miss out on, like Madden this year. Probably looks fine on next gen. I don't know. I haven't watched any footage yet. But I mean, it's still being built for the old gen first. And then with additions added just like last year. Which, one thing I got to say about Madden, which we might actually have to check out this year's version, they touched franchise mode. They made significant changes to franchise mode. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm wondering too. Well, one of the things that they changed won't be added till September.
Okay.
They said it's coming as a free update. Okay. It wasn't ready in time, but
yeah.
Like put it this way.
Why?
One of the
it's not
things,
like they do a whole lot to that game, anyways.
Well, as an example, you can hire coaches, assistant coaches, and I think trainers, and they all have skill trees, and you get to level them up. And there's like special events that happen between player and coach. Like we've seen in the past, like, oh, this player's hot. Like, if they get like 2 touchdowns. Yeah. Okay, yeah, we've seen stuff like that, but I guess it's even more in depth now beyond that for individual player development. What?
Do we actually get a half that
Probably
show?
not.
Do we actually get
But to be honest, hold on.
Recap show?
So to be honest, I love those, by the way, right? So I have NFL 2K5, and it ran on the Series X. So I was playing it before I sold it because I'm like, I just got to do it just one more time. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. I got to be honest. It was really cool back then. Today, the halftime show and the post-game shows are kind of lame. They weren't really that great. Back then, it was revolutionary. I think it's one of those, if they had advanced it to modern times, it would be amazing. Mm-hmm. But nobody's done it. So, like, I don't really want that show brought to current Madden.
No,
but it's kind of like we're complaining about a feature that hasn't been around in 16 years and it wasn't ever in Madden.
I know, but...
And let's be honest, how often do we just skip anyways? Even when we're trying to watch it. We're at the Super Bowl. We're trying to watch the warm-ups for the Super Bowl. We just accidentally skip. Trying to watch the post-game to see if they changed the celebration. Skipped.
Whoops, yeah.
And then it turns out when we finally remember they didn't change anything. But still, it's kind of like we end up skipping it most of the time anyway. We're more interested in the gameplay. Yeah. But, there's gameplay tweak. I don't know. That's obviously getting a whole new territory because Madden's not coming to Switch anyways. But... Which again, that's not like another game that's like just because there's increased cartridges, you're not getting Madden because there's bigger cartridges.
No.
You're not getting Madden because they don't think it's going to sell. They tried it. They tried it on Wii. They made a literally dedicated arcade. I know, but they did try. They tried to make a Madden for Wii. And it didn't sell very well. It sold well enough to get, I think, like 2 or 3 versions. But after that, they stopped making it. It didn't sell well enough. Okay, we could talk about how it wasn't real Madden, wasn't simulation. They went all arcade. It was kind of like NFL Blitz style, but didn't really go all the way. So whatever. We can talk about why it didn't succeed. But bottom line is they tried to do that. And then they tried to do, okay, fine, we'll give you Madden on Wii U. Oh, wait, except we're giving you last gen version with...
Again, yeah.
So, like, we didn't really give you full efforts because screw you, our unprecedented partnership's over because... this isn't the platform you told us it was, or whatever the case might be.
Yeah.
I'm like, and then we saw them try to do a full version like on 3DS. And again, it didn't sell very well. So like they have this history of where we can argue they never really gave their best efforts, which this is EA, so I mean isn't that true of almost every game?
No.
Almost every game they make. Besides like when, Disney's pissed at them, so then we get The Last Jedi, so we finally get a good one.
Thanks, Disney.
Thank you, Disney, for actually thank the fan base for getting Disney
Yeah.
involved in that
Yeah,
backlash
right.
over Battlefront 2, because
Yeah.
that's what led to The Last Jedi, and I think Squadrons, which was really good, and there's gonna be a Last Jedi 2, it sounds like, and so now it looks like Star Wars games are on the up and up. Plus, they lost their exclusive partnership, so thank you, fans, for that backlash.
Yeah.
But I find it fascinating
The NFL just needs to learn.
that statement exists. I mean, can you imagine that a third party's like, oh, the cartridge isn't big enough, we're not coming to Switch?
No. I don't see that. No.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I
can see them bigger cartridges being more common because they're made more, but
100% guarantee that's not a thing. But I can't see that.
yeah, like let me ask the crowd. Like, do you guys honestly like what do you think is deterring us from having full third party support? I'll give you two options. Is it because the cartridges aren't big enough to fit the full game, so they have to download a bunch of data?
Run a poll.
Or I could run a poll. Or is it because this platform here, you could argue, is more on par with an Xbox 360 than an Xbox One?
Yeah, I mean,
it is more. By the way, this is more powerful than an Xbox 360.
which is
So like
crazy.
it's like it is, but it just feels like when you play games on it, that's closer to old than new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which again is still pretty freaking crazy that this is more technologically advanced, like, than the spaceship that we sent to the moon. I mean, it's absolutely nuts.
And that thing kicks the shit out of this.
Well, yeah.
But it doesn't get the kind of normal console games. Like, you have Call of Duty Mobile, which is not as good as normal Call of Duty.
Right, yeah. For sure.
So I don't know. Like, I just think that's not what it is. Now, do I think third parties will start to use 32 gigabyte cartridges more if Nintendo's using them? Well, duh. Because
if they're available.
They've always been available, but they've been expensive.
Right.
And a huge reason is because they're not really mass produced.
Right.
Because not enough games use it. But if Nintendo games are using it,
if it's financially feasible,
correction.
And
If Breath of the Wild 2 is using it and they're making 20 million of those suckers, that means they're being mass produced, which then means third parties are going to be more likely to use a mass produced cartridge size because it's going to be cheaper.
For sure. Yeah.
So do I think more third parties will use it when they're mass produced because of Nintendo games? Well, duh.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to lead to more. But I do think that is a fascinating reasoning that why they increased to 64, which to me is not a big enough increase. But for Nintendo's purposes, hey, we might actually have games coming out in a year that won't fit if you buy it digitally.
Yeah.
And they're not okay with that.
Yeah.
I mean, they should have never been okay with third parties having games that couldn't fit. But they didn't think about that. Yeah, Nintendo worries more about themselves. Yeah. So I don't know. Let's see here. None of the above for things like Madden and Call of Duty. It's a handheld hybrid. Why are y'all expecting a Series X out of it? Who expects a Series X out of it? I think maybe that's happened because of the Steam Deck.
Maybe.
We haven't done a podcast since the Steam Deck was announced either.
No.
You know what it is?
Talked about Steam Deck.
Do you even know what Steam Deck is?
I've seen pictures of it.
But you know what it is?
It's kind of a handheld PC type thing from what
It is a handheld PC.
From what I've read, it looks similar to the Switch. I don't know if it has any sort of docking station or anything like that.
It does, but it's sold separately.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, so it's a Switch-esque thing that's a mobile PC.
Yes. Comes with Steam OS.
Yep.
But you can install Windows on it.
Yep.
They have a $400 entry point for the lowest one, and then I think it's like $550 and $650. Better storage, basically moving out. And I think the $650 one has a something different with the layer they put on the screen, like anti-scratch or anti-glare or something. I can't remember.
Glass instead of.
I can't remember what. There's some change in the most expensive one on what they put on the front of the screen.
Gotcha.
It runs at 800p, It's not 720, not 1080, 800.
Interesting.
It has basically a massive screen. Things like the size of the Switch. It's huge. I don't know if you've seen them next to each other. It looks like the thing could eat the Switch.
Yeah.
But here, the reason that people are starting to talk about it is because $400, that's only $50 more than the Switch OLED.
Mm-hmm.
And it's packing significantly more power.
Mm-hmm.
Like, significantly more.
Mm-hmm.
It's like taking like 6 of these and duct taping them together kind of power.
Damn.
It's basically, I don't want to say this, but like a lower tier laptop than this, but still good enough to basically play any PC game.
You get to play
in your hand.
Yeah. And
that's why some people are like, is this a Switch killer? I don't think it's a Switch killer. But
well, no, because you won't be able to play it.
Well, and to be honest, Valve is having happened when so Valve messes up every hardware thing they do. Whether it's obviously you guys remember the Steam consoles or whatever they were called that were supposed to be like home consoles, and they no, didn't work, that bombed. Steam controller bombed. I don't think this is going to bomb.
No.
But what happened is, Valve's probably happy about this, but what happened is there was so much demand for it because this is going to be available in December. Pre-orders go up. Not only was it a massive pre-order mess, they're back ordered potentially through the entirety of 2022.
Damn.
Like after the initial wave, which apparently looks really tiny at this point, you might not get a second wave of it until, I think they said something like maybe April. So to me, this means a couple things. One, they didn't anticipate the demand, which is weird. Considering that portable, like you could see the Aya Neo and other portable PCs that have raised millions of dollars on Kickstarter. Like clearly, there's a market for this.
Even just look at the Switch. I mean, you gotta have some idea that this is going to be somewhat similar in popularity, if not more, because of your lower price point.
And so this is like the fudge up right now, and we don't know if there's any other issues because no one's had it in their hands long enough to know.
Right.
But it's like, but people can't get their hands on it. Valve wasn't ready for mass demand, so that's not. By the way, Valve's happy about that. Of course, you want a ton of demand, but it's kind of like, what is that the mess up? This ends up being like a PlayStation 5, except the difference with PlayStation 5 is they're pumping out millions of these a month. I think they're only going to be pumping out like hundreds, maybe a couple thousand a month of the system, which is going to be well below demand, which means the system's almost going to be like a, what do they call it? Like a vaporware sort of thing. Like it exists, but nobody really has it. Like, oh my God, it's amazing. Oh, could it kill the Switch? I'm like, yeah, if anyone could ever buy the damn thing, but it's like it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
There's so few of them, and by the time, and the thing is, my thing is, to all the chips and all the parts, we talked about this over the pandemic, have to be ordered years in advance, right? So people under the thought, because they thought with the upcoming pandemic that things were going to be low, so they lowered their orders.
Yep.
And then it turned out the exact opposite happened to consumer electronics. It was high because people want entertainment in the home.
Right.
So then, all these shortages. And other people who, like Nintendo, because they were sold out for a while, where they didn't lower their order, they just didn't increase it. So then they ended up selling out too, just from, they thought it would just be a normal year, and it wasn't. So my thing is,
by the time
by the time it's more widely available, because it's not going to be this year, obviously. I don't think it's going to be next year. Maybe by the end of 2023, by holiday, finally they might have enough out there to actually have significant numbers in the many millions. You start hitting, maybe that's the first year they have 10 million or something in 2023. Well, by then, Nintendo's going to have their new platform probably landing. And by then, the technology in that, because, hey, PCs is going to now be 2-3 years old. There's going to be probably Zen 4, Zen 5. There's going to be new stuff, new PC handhelds coming out. That, they're going to be more expensive, but it's also going to make the Steam Deck look like a toy. Because this is what happens. The PC hardware game is much like the phone hardware game. See, Nintendo lives in their own world because they're one of the few companies that can basically survive on just their own games.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying it's entirely true. We saw it with Wii U, but we haven't seen a platform until Switch where all of Nintendo's development teams are on it. They've always been split between two platforms.
Yeah.
Now they're on one, and I think Nintendo is almost a self-sustaining company where their IPs are valued so much.
Mm-hmm.
They spend a bunch of money on marketing, more than any company this generation, that they can almost self-sustain. Not quite. They still need appealing hardware. But if you have appealing hardware and then you have your games, you can almost self-sustain. Right. So I'm like, this platform just plays all your PC games. So there's not a game that sells the platform. Just the platform itself has to sell itself. And as that platform ages and it doesn't have the exclusive games and better hardware competitors come out, and then all of a sudden Nintendo is like, yeah, you know what? Now we have our new Gen 1, and maybe our new Gen 1 kicks the shit out of whatever you were just using.
Yeah, possibly.
And even if it doesn't, let's say it's slightly below. Yeah, it might be slightly below, but guess what? You can't play pretty much any of the third-party games you have better than our platform can. Yeah. And we also have exclusives. So what are you going to do about that? Yeah. Right. So, like, my thing is Valve's greatest mistake is that they mistook what demand for this would be, didn't get enough orders in, so by the time they have the orders to start meeting demand, the demand might just go away. Because there'll be other competitors that do it with better hardware by then, because PC hardware and phone hardware moving like this, and other people, not Nintendo, but other people will upgrade more quickly. Like the Ioneo. Okay, wait till the Ioneo 2 comes out next year and is better than this. Yeah. Yeah. You know, we'll wait till, the Switch. Okay, yeah, they don't upgrade this as often. Clearly, it's been 5 years. But when they do, it's usually a significant leap. And that significant leap should be pretty close to matching, if not surpassing, what this thing does. By the time they can make enough of them, Nintendo will have this out, and they'll have Mario Kart 9. Which one are you likely to pick up, guys? Let's say similar power. 2023. Nintendo's new system, similar power to the Steam Deck. But it launches with Mario Kart 9. I mean, it's pretty clear which one's going to sell more. Mario Kart 9 is one of the biggest system sellers in gaming, period. Yeah. So, like... Yeah.
No, for sure. Yeah.
I'm not saying don't buy a Steam Deck. Everyone's free. Well, if you can. Like, Steam Deck looks cool. It's not really for me because I like PC gaming. Like, a mouse, keyboard, you can do it with this, but like by the time you get to that cumbersome setup, why don't you just sit down at a computer and do it?
I know that was one of your kind of things that you had wrong with Port Royale, was that it was definitely not designed for, like, specifically for the Switch. You could still tell it was...
And by the way, there's plenty of games on PC that work fine with controllers. That like, are built for... They're console games that came to PC, basically. Like, yeah, they work fine with controllers.
It felt like it felt like it was shoehorned into the controller use versus... Yeah. So I know that was one of your... Which is still Port Royale.
Well, that was one of my criticisms of... it's not really... So, like Port Royale 4... it's, by the way, it's a really fun game. It is. And I'm glad it's on Switch. It doesn't run perfectly. There's some frame rate problems, but I mean, it's still fun. You don't really, the frame rate, it's not like a live action game, so like the frame rates don't matter as much. But like games like that, this is the same reason why we haven't seen like, I don't know. I'm trying to think about like Age of Empires hasn't traditionally been on consoles because like converting the control scheme of like a real-time type of strategy game like that to twin sticks, it just doesn't feel right. Right. And a lot of here's like the people are like, well, it's fine, just play all your controller games on Steam Deck. I don't really play any PC games that have controllers. And I'm weird. Call me a console boy if you want, but most of the games I play that have controllers, I'll just go play them on Xbox or PlayStation or Switch. Yeah. I won't play them on PC. I play the only game maybe right now is maybe I'll play Madden a bit on it with a controller, but I don't really use controllers on my PC. Yeah. I'm not a controller PC gamer. I'm a mouse and keyboard guy. So like this doesn't do anything for me. Oh yeah, but you could take it on the go. I'm like, that's cool, but like I got plenty of games to already play on this on the go. It's not like I need to like when I'm on the go, I don't need access to my entire library. I'm on the go. Even if I'm on a 17-hour plane flight going over to the UK, or I don't even know how long that flight is.
Yeah,
But it's really long, right? So, or let's say it's to Japan, or whatever the longest flight is from where I am now to some part of the world, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. Say it takes a day, even 24 hours. I don't know.
Yeah.
I still don't need access to my entire gaming library. There's plenty of games on platforms I can bring this, my phone. If I'm on a plane, why wouldn't I have my laptop? I get to set it on the tray.
Yeah.
Like,
For sure. Yeah.
you know, it's one of those situations that it's not for me. But if it is for you, that's fine.
Cool.
Play it. Love it. I just think by the time they can catch up to demand, it just might be too little too late. That doesn't mean a Steam Deck 2 can't be in the works, and maybe they're better with that. But do we really trust Valve?
No.
I mean, I know some people want to give Valve credit because Half-Life Alyx, like that was really, really good VR game. And obviously, Steam in general is pretty good.
Valve and gaming.
It's like Valve and gaming don't even exist. I mean,
games, Valve is okay at.
Are they?
I mean, they were.
I was gonna be like,
yeah.
Do you remember the last Valve game you played?
Yeah, Left 4 Dead.
Or Left 4 Dead 2?
No, yeah.
And how long ago? That
was a long time.
When did Left 4 Dead 2 come out?
That was a long time ago.
They're really good at making 2 games.
Yes.
Can't get to that third.
Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2. Half-Life
Portal,
and Half-Life.
Portal 2. Can't do Portal 3.
They
just stop at 2. 2009?
Whew. Hot damn.
Like, I know Valve has other smaller projects they've had come out, and Half-Life Alyx was a bit of a bigger one. Valve basically doesn't make games anymore. You calling Valve a game company at this point, or a game developing company, I think would be a misrepresentation of Valve. Ever since Steam blew up and became most PC gamers, I'm not going to say all, most PC gamers de facto way to play games and buy games.
Yeah.
They became more of a storefront.
Yes.
So, like, they've been trying to get into hardware. Why are they trying to get into hardware? Because they don't really do games. They could. They just don't see a reason to. Which is weird because their games always sold phenomenally well. But they don't care. It's like they did those games to help get Steam on computers. And now that Steam is the dominant, there's other options, but it is the dominant one. They make so much money off Steam. It's like Gabe Newell just laughs to the bank and just on a whim decides, hey, Switch, we could do that, but better. Hey, consoles. I mean, PCs are better. Let's try to make PC-like console things for TVs that nobody bought. Everyone games on Windows or Linux or Mac OS. Like, you know what's better? How about let's make a Steam OS?
Yeah, right.
Like, it's like he just has these ideas like, I'm so rich.
You're right. I can just...
Steam
I don't care
just,
if this fails.
It don't matter how many failures I have because Steam is making me billions a day.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, like, it's like almost... To us that grew up with Valve games, Steam is like the worst thing to happen to anyone. This feels weird to say, but it's like the worst thing to happen to anyone who's fans of Valve games. Like, think about this. What's one of the most popular games still on PC? CSGO.
Mm-hmm.
Valve owns CSGO. Why the hell are we not getting new ones? Why? They can just keep using the old one. It's like Valve, if you're a fan of Valve games, Steam was the worst thing to happen because Steam's success led to them stop making games, basically. It's dumb. And so, nothing against Steam Deck. Going to probably be amazing. If you can get your hands on one by 2023. When we're probably talking about a new Switch or the new Aya Neo or... God forbid, like I'm a PC tech enthusiast, so by then we should be on to like Ryzen 6000 CPUs, potentially on to Zen 3 architecture instead of Zen 2, or if we're still on Zen 2, there'll be more mature Zen 2 architecture out there by then. So it's like all this stuff, or RDNA 2, more mature, like there'll be more mature stuff. Like remember, RDNA 2, which is like the big thing for the GPU, that's still like new. Okay, everything that's new, like if you guys think back to the original Ryzen processors, then you think up to now with the 5000 series, it's a significant improvement because the initial stuff is good, but never great. So RDNA 2, wonderful, amazing, but also it's newer. It's going to be much better in 2 years, and there'll be new technology and new GPUs that just blow whatever they're doing now out of the water. So it's like, yeah, it sounds good now, but like the stuff they're gonna have in a couple of years is gonna be so much better. So I'm a massive tech enthusiast. I watch lots of tech YouTubers. I'm always reading news, lots of tech websites. I love technology. Valve is just a weird company. I think the Steam Deck, by the way, I mean, as soon as I saw the price, I was like, damn. But also, it's Valve.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Does anyone trust Valve?
Yeah.
Half-Life 3 yet?
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's a meme and a joke at this point, but I mean, where's Left 4 Dead 3? Oh, you know what? It took so long for them to decide to maybe do something, and then they didn't. Then now we have Back 4 Blood.
Yeah, right.
And everyone's pumped for Back 4 Blood. It's like, hey, finally.
Yeah, right.
Finally. We've only been waiting
I want to play it.
over a decade.
I want to play it.
Why isn't Valve providing it to you? Because they don't need to make games anymore.
Yeah.
Literally, they could do nothing but just have people who maintain Steam. And that's it. They don't need to, like,
No, for
Steam has made them more money than all their video games they've ever made combined. And they just don't have any reason to do anything else. And to me, it's sad. It's like, I want Steam to die so Valve is forced to actually make games again, if they remember how to. Now, with Half-Life Alyx, it made me feel like they still have some good developers there, right? They still have some people that know how to make games.
Yeah.
We just don't get them. And someone's going to point out, I'm sure it's already been pointed out, there have been a number of little games they've released. I would call them more like indie-style games. Absolutely. But when I think of Valve, I'm not thinking of indie. I'm thinking, you're one of the richest companies in the fucking world. Where's my big AAA? Like, it's almost like, it would be like if EA, because at one point EA wanted to make a game console back in the day. So EA became this multi-billion-dollar company off of video games, and they decide, hey, we're gonna make a console. Okay, cool. But then they at the same time decide we're gonna stop making games. You know what would sell Steam Deck? What would guarantee success by the time the next Switch comes out when they can meet demand? Be like, oh yeah, we're releasing Half-Life 3 finally. Coming to Steam Deck first, exclusive for a year. Okay, now you're talking! But they ain't gonna do that because they ain't making games.
Nope.
You know what would kill Back 4 Blood if they would announce Left 4 Dead 3? It ain't happening because they're not making it.
Yes, it would.
They're not making it. So like,
But would it? Actually.
well, I know a lot of the original developers are making Back 4 Blood.
say,
but why are they doing it? Because they're not making it. I mean, the reality is they're not making these games.
Right.
So what's kind of cool is that because Valve has abandoned the idea of these games for so long, everyone else is just gonna pick up eventually and start making Valve's like, oh, you missed half. Just don't worry, someone's gonna make 3/4 life or full life or something that's literally a Half-Life clone, and everyone's gonna love it because we can't get Half-Life any other way.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, oh, Silent Hill, yep, might never come back. I know there's been rumors about it, but if it doesn't come back, you know that eventually something's gonna come up that's gonna be like, you know, Violent Bill, and that's going to end up being some new Silent Hill ripoff game. Like, it's just, Valve frustrates me. So, like, I want to be excited for Steam Deck, even though it's not for me. I want to be excited for the people that are excited for it, but I just can't, like, I just don't trust Valve.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, no.
Am I wrong? You know, like Galactus, he's like, Back 4 Blood just sucks. Left 4 Dead 2 is still better. Have you played Back 4 Blood? How could you definitively say Back 4 Blood sucks? See, this is another thing. Let's just talk about this in general about gamers.
Yeah.
We have a tendency to be like, say we're mega fans of something. I'm a mega fan of Zelda, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of mega fans of Zelda that Horizon Zero Dawn comes out or is being advertised and releases around the same time as Breath of the Wild for PlayStation 4. That would go, LOL, Horizon Zero Dawn sucks. Zelda's better. Breath of the Wild's better. Without ever actually playing the game to be able to form an educated opinion. It's just more of I'm a mega fan of this, so this is better than that. But they don't actually have an informed opinion on it. And that's just the way fans are. I mean, fans are short for fanatics.
Right.
And fanatics are
absolutely
a little nuts when it comes to the stuff they're fans of. But, like, this is the thing, like, you know, to have that opinion that Back 4 Blood just sucks, Left 4 Dead 2 is better, like, but how do you know that? Until you've played the game, how do you know? You don't know.
Is there a beta out right now?
Steady dropping EM says, not just gamers, everyone nowadays gonna complain about something. I mean, that's the way it is. That's the world we live in. Like, I try to rein myself back because sometimes I'll catch myself being like,
Oh.
Not so much console fanboying.
Yeah, the open beta starts tomorrow.
It starts tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah.
So like,
there's no way anybody could have played that game.
or played enough of it anyways.
Yeah.
And it's also beta,
Unless
which isn't
they're-
always the
Unless they're
final.
a dev, which would really make no sense that
A dev would be in the chat, shit talking.
shit talking their own game.
Yeah.
So yeah, no.
But like, this is just the way of the world, I guess, at this point, where people and gamers and just everyone just, why do we gotta shit on things to build up the things we like? Like let's say you play Back 4 Blood and you end up going, you know what, I like Left 4 Dead 2 better. Okay, cool.
There you go.
Fine, you don't have to shit on Back 4 Blood though to prop up the game you like. Like I don't have to shit on Horizon Forbidden West to prop up Breath of the Wild 2. They both can be great, and I could just prefer one over the other. It's not the like why we have this innate nature as humans that we got to shit on things to make ourselves feel better about the things that we have. Like console wars are entirely built around justifying that we bought this and not that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the entire justification of console wars. I own an Xbox, so fuck Sony. I own a Switch, so fuck PC. Like, who cares? Why does it matter? Why does it matter what other people are doing? And I feel like there is a innate thing to this, and maybe I'm way off base. You've had more psychology classes than I have. Just a little bit more. I've only had like 2, so.
I kind of had my bachelor's.
Yeah,
in,
I know. Yeah, we don't need.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's some psychology to this where.
No, there is.
People, I almost wonder that this is just spitballing. Like when people are like, yeah, love Switch, fuck Steam Deck, or I love Steam Deck, fuck Switch. Like, is there like this thing where maybe you don't love the platform as much as you think you do? But because you invested in it, you want to shit talk anything else to make yourself feel better about what you bought. Because I feel like if you truly love the thing, like, as an example, love my fiance. I don't have to shit talk other women to justify my love of my fiance. Like that doesn't make any sense. Like you're a piece of shit. You're a piece of shit. You're a piece of shit.
Down the street.
Hard. Like I don't have to do that
Yeah, right.
to make myself feel good about my partner. Like that doesn't make any sense. Like if you truly love the thing, I don't need to put down others to justify my love. Like I don't think someone's worse because they're not with me. Like no, everyone's meant to be with different people. So it's kind of like consoles. There's no one console for everybody. There's no one way to game for everybody. So that's why all these different ways to game exist in the first place. If there was one solution for everyone, we wouldn't have all these phones. There's not one right phone for everybody. That's why we have so many different phone devices.
No, for sure.
So like to me, it's if you truly love what you're playing, you truly love playing games on Switch. You love the games, you love the library, you love the hardware, you love everything about it. You have basically no complaints because you love the platform so much. You get so much joy out of it. Mm-hmm. Are you the type of person that's then turning around and being like, fuck Steam Deck? Mm-hmm. Switch is better. Mm-hmm. Because if you truly love it, why would you even be thinking about Steam Deck? Why would you be thinking about anybody else that buys anything else? Because you should be so in love with what you're doing. Why does it matter? It shouldn't matter to you.
You should actually be more. The thing is we've been programmed to focus on negative things, and negative things stick out more in the world than positive things.
Sure.
And so by pointing out the negatives of, because nobody wants to be quote unquote wrong. I made the wrong decision in purchasing an Xbox versus a PlayStation. Nobody wants to be wrong, which there is no wrong in that situation. You buy what's better for you.
Yeah.
But you point out we tend to point out the negative, which means not that you're necessarily shitting on the PlayStation 5, and there are people that do, but I'm going to point out the reasons that are wrong with this and not necessarily the better reasons of why I went with this. This has better this. This suits me better.
Well, there will be.
This.
As like Xbox gamers right now will be like, oh, PlayStation 5 is this and that, but the cooling solution isn't very good. The cooling solution is good here. We have Game Pass, you don't. So like they'll be like, here's why I like this platform more than your platform. But at the same point, I'm gonna not just point out the reasons that I prefer to play. Like you could be like, oh, guess what? Steam Deck won't have Nintendo exclusive. Let's not get into the emulation stuff. I understand that point. But the point is like, you don't have the games natively built for the platform. So here you go. That's why I prefer this platform. Fine, perfectly justifiable reason. That's not putting down the other platform for not having the games or not having the like. You're not putting down Sony to say I prefer Xbox because Game Pass is a great value. That's a justifiable reason to go with Game Pass. People might point out you can get it on phone or PC. Doesn't matter. It's a justifiable reason to be like, you know what? That's why I invested in this platform because long haul is cheaper for me than investing in a different one. Fine, but they're not. That's not putting down a platform. I'm talking specifically about the people that are always like, basically the console war people that are always, fuck this other platform, go PlayStation 5. Fuck this, yay this. Fuck this, yeah. Like, I feel like, and this is just because I've seen, like, setting gaming aside, just from a psychology, I've seen people that will literally get super pissy at people they barely fucking know. And they'll just start going at them. You can argue they're drunk. Some of them are. But they're doing it because, this is like the whole bully aspect. Putting other people down to make yourself feel better about you. Because secretly, you don't actually feel that good about you. And that's why I think this logic applies to video game consoles. The people that say fuck Switch, the people, like, someone mentioned in the chat, like, yeah, some of the people excited for Steam Deck are people that are just really upset with Switch. Correct. That's fine.
Yeah.
But there's also people saying, from the Switch side, saying fuck Steam Deck. And I just feel like there's this whole psychological aspect where if you really love what you're doing, then you wouldn't feel the need to have to, even though we've been trained to focus on negative, if there's so much positive for you coming from this one thing, you wouldn't need to put anything else down. You wouldn't care. It wouldn't matter. Okay, Steam Deck exists. You might not even pay attention to Steam Deck even got announced because you're so happy with the product. Like my kids, they have no idea about Steam Deck at all. They're so happy with their tablets and their Switches. They don't care that other things are coming out. It doesn't matter to them. And they're the innocent. And I keep feeling, when does my daughter start to talk negatively about things? When she's mad at herself. So I feel like when people want to put down other platforms, maybe they aren't actually that happy with the one they have.
It's always the saying, misery loves company. So, I
know, well, it's like, I get that sometimes they're just being negative because maybe there's negative people in general.
Well, there is also that.
But I also feel like, we always say, you mentioned, you buy this platform, you want to justify your investment in that platform. But, like, it's also, maybe you're not actually happy with your investment in that platform. So what only thing that makes you happy is to be like, I got a you-rah-rah mega fan this. And go on all of the Sony videos and live streams and all of the Sony YouTube, content creators, and just tell them how wrong they are. And I feel like those people are just like, I don't know if you actually like the platform that you're defending.
Well, and there's also people that just get joy out of trolling things too. So
trolls are gonna troll. They probably not even own a Switch or own any. They probably don't own any of these platforms.
They're probably also just are the ones that are saying.
Those kind of people, I think, get joy out of other people's misery.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Whereas I think the people who console war aren't trying to make the other person miserable. I think they're trying to justify their purchase.
Yeah, for sure.
Basically what I'm saying.
Well, I'm sure there are plenty of trolls out there that are going into both Sony and Microsoft forums going, fuck your platform, fuck your platform.
I want to find the guy.
And just watching the world burn because
there's people that
there are people that do that.
They enjoy that. But I don't think that's a majority.
No, probably not.
Like earlier in the chat, we had this person, UC255 here, who got temporarily banned or whatever. I don't know if they came back or if they were the person making the other troll accounts. They made a troll Arlo account, a troll...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were the same
Jake Paul account or whatever. So they were trolling in the chat. And I kept thinking... So I don't know if that was UC coming back with different accounts, but UC255 has been someone who's been commenting on my videos for, I don't know, like a year. And pretty much every comment is negative. Which I've noticed that people that tend to make every comment negative, is more when they're doing that for so long. Yeah, I notice it's more of a mental state for them. They probably are depressed.
Oh yeah.
And that's why I unbanned because I'm like, hold on, I've been dealing with this person for like a year. I kind of get the feeling that they're not too happy with themselves. Maybe I'm way off base on that. I don't know them, but it's kind of like my experience with people who consistently show up in negative accounts. Not necessarily attack. There's people that'll come out and that's a troll. Attack it. But UC doesn't really attack per se. It's more so, the comment they made in the chat was kind of a little bit. That's why I was like, really? Like UC's never quite gone that far to like literally say, you know, your thumbnail is like your channel trash or whatever, and it's like she's never really gone that far. I know she doesn't like the content, but there's also something about
But
well,
then,
why
Mike,
watch?
why are we still around after a year? Why
Well-
are we still, hanging on this long? What's
because again, this is the whole bully aspect of they don't really feel good about themselves.
Oh no, for sure.
So they stick around
Yeah.
because when they make that comment saying you're wrong about Switch Pro, you're wrong about this, you're wrong
It gives
about
them some sort of attention.
it
when
not only
people-
gives them attention. Sometimes I don't think it's always attention-seeking behavior. I think, which it can be,
No.
but I think some of it is also I feel negative about myself, and if I take my negative energy and I focus it on somebody else,
Right.
it's like a release. It's like I made this comment today,
And-
trashing this video, and that was like a release of my own depression, stress
And
that made me feel
attention may not have been the right word.
better in that moment.
Attention may not have been the right word. I'm not saying that they're looking for attention. It's when they put this comment out there, someone knows that I exist. Someone acknowledges
Sure.
that I'm here. And it's not necessarily that I'm looking for attention. It's people actually know that I'm here. And
More
actually-
likely to get a response
Right.
from people with a negative comment
Oh, yeah.
that goes
And-
against what the channel does versus a positive comment that's just
Blends
buried
into-
buried
yeah.
with a sea of positive
Right.
comments.
Right.
I mean, that's always been true everywhere. Negative comments, I mean, as a creator, negative comments to me stand out more than the positive one. I read every single one, but I shouldn't say every single one. After like a week, I stopped reading comments on old videos. But for a week, I read new comments, and it's like, vast majority of them on every video I make, even the ones that have a bigger dislike to like ratio, still a majority of the comments are positive. But it's always the negative ones that stand out because they're just different than the rest. Oh, great video. Oh, I really like this. Oh, I can't wait to switch OLED. I like this. I like that. Blah, 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 blah. Your video sucks. Okay, well, that was a weird comment to come out of the last 50 I read. So that's the one that's going to stick out to me as a content creator. Why does my video suck? What's wrong with it? Oh, you're just a liar. You're this. I'm like, where am I lying? I'm just reporting. Oh, yeah, you're responsible for everything and everything bad in this world. The whole overhyping of Switch Pro, you're responsible for all of it. And let's just ignore that we're just regurgitating publicly available information. I mean, you could argue there's a larger issue with social media in general, which I think the reason that people like me got so much backlash over Switch Pro, and whereas I just kind of shrugged it off, I'm like, I don't really get what the big deal is with I was reporting on rumors, I was wearing tinfoil hats, I don't really know what the problem is. Yeah. I think it's a younger generation issue, and I'm not trying to. If you're like someone in your teens or early 20s watching this, I don't know if this applies to you. You have to let me know because I'm in my mid 30s, so this isn't something I can understand. I didn't grow up with social media. Literally did not grow up I didn't. We had MySpace. But it wasn't social.
Right.
You weren't chatting with people on MySpace.
No, you weren't chatting with your friends.
No, you did have there was messenger programs and chat rooms, but there wasn't a social network. I wouldn't call MySpace back in the day a real network. It was more like it was more like a LinkedIn profile page.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, here's a page where you can find out about people, but you're not really talking. You could share your playlist or play people's playlists. Yeah. That was one of the big things on MySpace. You could have a music playlist and play that.
I love all the, Facebook should do this, this, and this. What are we bringing back MySpace?
Yeah. but it's like, but MySpace is what we had, and even then, it was the early days of the internet, so most kids didn't even have a computer or access to it.
No, for sure.
And when they did, it really wasn't. It wasn't very fleshed out. I wouldn't even call it a network, even though it was. Again, it's like a bunch of home pages about ourselves.
Yeah.
And then Facebook came along, and that for us was end of high school, and you had to be a college kid to get in back then. So it wasn't even open to the public. It was college students only and college graduates. So it was very much an adult thing. It wasn't meant for kids. And then obviously everything changed. Twitter, Facebook opened things up, and here we are today.
Right.
With all our Instagram and TikTok and everything else. Right. So we have all these other Vine before that went down back in the day. So we've had all these other social media networks come and go, and I feel like now that kids are growing up with this and getting access to this stuff at stupid ages, to me. I'm sorry. The next time I see a 3-year-old with a phone that isn't their parents playing a game, but is their own phone, and they're on TikTok doing whatever when they're not even old enough to be on TikTok, I'm sorry. I don't want to say you're a bad parent, but in my mind, you're a bad parent. You're not controlling. You are getting your kids addicted to social media at such a young age that that's all they're going to care about by the time they get older, and you're going to wonder why they spend more time on social media than they do getting their homework done, more time on this than actually hanging out with friends. Like, I'm not saying that's going to happen to all the kids, but I feel like the youth is growing up. And I'm a parent, so I got to worry about this shit.
Yeah.
They're growing up in this world of social media. Snapchat, too. I can't believe I forget about that one. That's a really popular one. I use Snapchat, so not as often as... I feel like it's a stereotype, but, like, why is it that on Snapchat it's always, like, females taking, like, 20,000 pictures of themselves every day?
I don't know.
I'm not complaining. They're all my friends, and sometimes they show their kids, and they're showing some interesting things happening, but it's kind of like... You know, I got guys on Snapchat, and there's maybe like one snap a week, and it's usually not even of them. It's like, here's a cool song that came on the radio from my childhood, or like, hey, I'm at a bonfire. It's like
Here's
once
a
a
picture
week.
of my butthole. Wait, no.
I don't know what it is about. I mean, I get that there is a whole the way media has framed where
Right.
women care more
Yeah.
about their looks than men. So like, that could be all it is.
Right.
And a lot of the Snapchat filters are very much catered to women.
Oh, for sure.
But oh yeah, let me do a masculine Snapchat. Like, it doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
But I think there's this whole sentiment with kids growing up where the younger generation is like, not only are they basing some of their happiness on like social standing, you know, because we talk about how great the world is and how more connected it is. I don't think they ever learned like we did. Like, I think some of the older, and that, again, there's people that are older than me that have problems. But like, I feel like every time I'm interacting with like people in the real world, when I actually talk to people, not online. I get online can be real, but I'm saying like when I see people in person, whether it's kids or adults or whatever, and like they play games, because plenty of adults play games. Some won't admit to it because it's not accepted in certain communities. You know, you're looked at as a kid. Like, you know, I don't think Dave over there, my neighbor, I don't think he plays video games. Never once seen him play video games.
Doesn't mean he doesn't.
Doesn't mean he doesn't,
Right.
but it's not something that, you know, his interest seemed to be like working on cars and stuff like that in his yard. God, he's one of those people that works on his yard like every day. That's fine. That's his passion, what he's into. So it's like, but I can respect that passion. And it's like, I can respect, like, I play this, and I feel like I grew out of console wars because I can respect that everyone plays things for different reasons. It's just something I learned. I didn't grow, like, it's weird because, you know, didn't grow up with social media, yet here I am on YouTube doing a podcast live, very social media thing with 70,000 plus people subscribed. I got whatever on Twitter. I don't even know what it is. I don't know, it's a 13, 14, I don't even know, 1,000. You know, it doesn't really matter how many you had. The real is, like, I'm sitting here doing social media stuff, making some money and all that, but at the same point have this very different perspective, I feel like, from the younger people who grew up with this, that feel like this social attachment that they have to put people down, or they have to do this, or they have to do that, to make themselves, like you mentioned, like getting the, not attention seeking, but knowing that if they make that negative comment, it's going to stand out, and that the creator or more people might end up reading that comment or replying to it. Like almost like a part of their psyche and part of their mental well-being is all about what happens on social media. Whereas I can be like, yeah, okay, so Switch Pro didn't happen. I'm a little bit disappointed. You're a little bit disappointed. Right. It's not like we're walking around all day, oh my God, our existence is ruined because all those Switch Pro reports didn't come true. Yeah. Oh my God, the Steam Deck came out. Oh my gosh. Like, some people, like, they literally watch my videos sometimes, and it's funny. They'll see me like it in one of my rant modes, or like the fuck E3 rant, right? Like, that isn't even online. God, I hate YouTube and their limits. Anyways, so I went on this big long rant during E3, and people will watch that, and it's very impassioned. And in the moment, I'm really into it, and I mean everything I'm saying. But like, once I'm done, that's it. Like, I don't even care anymore. You just move on with my day. It's not like this big important part of. And people watch it and they're like, "Man, you're what a man child," or what this, or look how passionate of a gamer he is. And I'm like, dude, the moment I'm done with that rant, it's like, okay, I'm good now. I got it all out. You know, I gotta take care of my kids. I gotta go to work. Gotta do this. Gotta do college. Like, there's so many things that are so much more important than even what that rant was. It's like, I think what happens is these younger kids see this stuff, and it's like an influence. That's why they call us influencers.
Well, and part of that too, though, is there's also the one mass amount of anonymity online.
Yeah. Yep.
And
yeah, I'm one of the few people that it's like even in my videos.
Look at
they'll say, "Hey, welcome back to Spawn Wave," and I'll be like, "Hey, I'm Nathaniel Rufflejan." It's like how many? I don't even know that many content creators even use their name.
Right. But
like
and
that.
then also look at the quote unquote influencers, people like that we celebrate. They're all the ones that have these mass amounts of followers and things like that. Not necessarily that they're good people. Some of them are.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, even some of the stuff you see, like when people get all like, "Oh, F Jake Paul" or "F," I'm like, I don't actually know these people. Maybe they're really not that bad. It could all be an act. Because guess what? They came up being these obnoxious assholes, and that's how they got popular.
Right.
That's another thing too that I don't think some younger kids understand, that what you see on the internet from your influencers doesn't mean that's what they are.
Yeah.
Or who
not
they
everything
are.
on the internet's true.
What do you mean? Not everything you see on social media or internet
what
or
do you
anything
mean?
is true. How about like most of it's
The
not?
pop-up that says I won $1 million over here isn't true? Shit.
Oh man, you mean when someone got a paid ad on their video that told me, if I put this cream on my face, I'll never have gray hair again, isn't real?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, right.
I mean, maybe it's real because it kills my hair follicles and I just don't have any facial hair ever again. I guess there's probably a poison I can put on my face that'll literally get rid of my hair for sure. But yeah, you have no gray hairs because you have no hairs. Have a good day.
So
it gives you cancer.
Yeah, oh God. Oh God.
Then you really have no hair.
Oh,
All right.
Lord. Yeah, we've kind of...
No, it's okay.
sidetracked on this
I
one.
like sidetracking.
Yeah.
These conversations are the fun ones to me because I feel like they're more important. Like gaming's, like we talk about gaming a lot. Literally all this channel's about me.
Welcome to this channel, yeah.
But at the same point, I'm always fascinated by the psychological aspects of the internet. Like I even think about this, like I don't know the age of anyone I'm talking to. So when I respond to a comment, it's like, okay, I feel like, I put some logic there, some good reasoning. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. But I don't understand, like that comment reply either made that person's day or maybe just put them in some deep depression because I proved them wrong or whatever. And I'm like, I don't think about it like that when I'm doing it because to me, it doesn't matter. You guys can say all the nasty stuff you want to me. I don't really care. The moment this camera's turned off and I hit end stream, like my life moves on. I'll probably go upstairs, maybe jerk off a little bit and, give some medicine to my fiance because she's recovering from surgery. Again, way more important thing going on in my house than the podcast. And I'll move on with my day. Maybe I'll have a snack. I don't know. Like, it's like I'll watch a show and fall asleep. Like, wake up and be a dad tomorrow morning. Like, it's one of those, like, I have a shutoff valve. It's like, this stuff, man, like, I'm passionate about sports. But, like, there's a certain point that it's just something I enjoy. There's a shutoff valve to it. It's not more, like, my priorities aren't, oh my God, let's make my YouTube channel have 500,000 followers. Like, no, my priorities are my family, my kids, my fiance, my house, college. All that matters more to me right now than anything I do here. And some people argue, well, that's called being an adult, but so many adults I see growing up now, they're like in their mid-20s. That's not how they are. They have to be on their phone. They have to be getting that next social media post out. They have to be like, ooh, look at this cute shirt that I'm not going to buy from the store, but look how good I look in it. Let me get a picture of it quick so I can show it off. And it's like, I get it. I understand it to a point because, hey, I'm on YouTube. And yeah, I enjoy when people like my video and comment and say cool things. And it's neat when you make a video and sometimes when you do it, what is it? 2 hours later, all of a sudden I'm like, holy shit, there's 10,000 views already. That's like really good. And wow, what did I do that made this video do well? People always say, oh, you know what you did. No, I don't, because I try repeating it and it doesn't work. I just had this today where we were talking about a Switch Force video, and I'm like, maybe I don't know how to clickbait because every time I think I did something that worked, that got a lot of views, and I do it again and it doesn't work, and you're like, what the hell happened? It's like I really have. When I tell you guys I have no idea, like why I have 70,000 subscribers, I mean I have no idea. When I go like I have no idea how to get views on YouTube, I'm not kidding. I have no idea how to get views on YouTube. You'll see videos on my channel. Oh man, you barely got 1,000. Then you go like 3 videos back. This one got 15,000. I'm like, I have no idea why this video only got 1,000 and that video got 50. I got no clue. I tried to repeat the same thing and it didn't work.
I think part of it is YouTube, but
well, part of it is YouTube, but part of it's also like I don't understand why one tweet I make gets 500 likes, another tweet I make only gets 2. I don't know why. I can't repeat my success. And that's probably why I'm not super successful. It's because I can't find a way to repeat it. Like this podcast episode today, maybe by the time we're done, it's got 2,000 views. Maybe it's only got 500. I don't know what I could do to make it get more. Don't really care. I do this for fun. And it is nice to make a little coin, but...
So much fun.
Well, here we go.
This is how much fun we have on here. Woo!
But seriously, it's...
This thing is ridiculous.
I don't know. It is something I struggle with as a parent, trying to get my kids to value. I don't want to say real things, because I don't want to pretend that online interactions can't be real.
Right.
Obviously they can. I'm not stupid. I'm in the technology. I'm not like one of those people, one of those old school people that'll be like, your little chat you did online doesn't matter. Like, so your text to your mom didn't matter? Like, come on, let's just be real. The interactions we have with people matter. But I just don't put, I guess, my self-worth into it. I guess maybe that's the way to put it. I think a lot of youth put their self-worth into what strangers on the internet say and react and like, and I don't. Like, literally, if my YouTube channel didn't grow from 4 years ago, I'd still be doing it.
Yeah.
Maybe not as often, but I'd still be doing it. And you'd be like, oh, see, you're doing it more often. I'm like, well, yeah, because there's a motivating factor. That when, people really like your content and you get, a couple thousand views, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, that kind of motivates me to want to keep doing it, because nobody wants to talk to an empty room, because I already do that all the time. Literally, when I'm recording videos,
there's myself right
there's
here.
nobody in.
Empty room.
You guys, like, when you guys watch my videos, every video I make has like 40 minutes worth of recording, and you'll see like an 8-minute video. I spend a majority of the time that I do the YouTube just talking to myself. So like, that's the way.
For it. Yes, he does.
Like, that's the way YouTube works, though. Like, especially when you're a solo guy and you don't have someone behind the camera.
Yeah.
So like, that's just the way it is. So like, I already spend a lot of time talking to myself. So like, when I go online, I don't base my values on how many friends I have on Facebook, how many followers on Instagram or YouTube. Like, I don't think I am a more important person today. Like, I'm kind of a big deal because of my followers on, like, when we like, I don't want to be presumptuous. So let's say the channel hits 100,000. I'll be so thankful, and we'll probably do a live stream, and we'll celebrate, and we'll be popping the bottles and having fun, and it'll be all good.
Can we hang plastic and shoot champagne everywhere like they do with the finals?
Yes.
Oh, fuck yeah,
it's happening.
Oh yeah.
Yes, that'll happen on stream.
Oh yeah.
Yes, that's the best idea I've heard out of you yet.
Straight.
We should have had that prepared for E3 in case we show Breath of the Wild too, because that was a popping moment for me. But that would be like for the channel. Yeah, so like, that's cool, and I definitely enjoy that. But it's also like, we hit 100,000, and then I walk away from the computer and I go, okay, so
cool. What's for dinner?
Yep. Yeah, like what's for dinner? What's like I kind of move on. I don't know if you call that humbleness. I don't know if I'd even go that far. It's just more of a perspective. I didn't grow up basing my self-values on what other people think of me. And this sometimes even bothers Yulia. Like, today we went to the dollar store to get some dish soap. No big deal. We just ran out of dish soap. And she wanted to get out of the house because she hasn't been out since her surgery. So she comes with me, or we're getting ready to go, and I'm just wearing some cruddy, crappy shirt and shorts, not even with a care. She's like, that's what you're gonna wear? Red doesn't go with red, or this and that. And I'm like, oh, why do I give a shit what anybody at that store thinks of me? I'm like, I care what you think of me, and now because you are, mocking me, I'm gonna go change my clothes, but I'm doing it for you, not for those people there. I don't give two flying fucks what any of those people think. And
not because you're better than them.
You guys to see me make videos here where my hair is all messed up. I don't give a shit. Look at me and think I look like a piece of shit. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like, what? You know how easy it is for me to not care what you say about me, guys?
Jesus. Almost knocked over the tequila. Okay. Bye.
Like,
bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia. I can turn it off.
Still love you guys, but yeah.
Like, I can turn it off. It's if I post something on Twitter and I'm not liking how people are reacting or whatever, you know what I do? To put the phone down. Like, there's just so many self-valuations that are put into social media, and I feel like it's seeping into everything. And it's taking what used to be something you could grow out of. I feel like console wars was something you could grow out of. You'd have it all the way through high school. You'd hit college. And you start to realize it's really not that big a deal who plays what. That's what happened to me. I was all console war. Hit college, didn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about it. It's not that important.
Yeah.
Now, oh boy, everything feels like everything's the biggest fucking deal all the time. Seriously, does it not feel that way?
Oh, yeah.
Everything's the biggest deal all the time. Joe Biden farts on TV. It's the biggest story ever for the next 24 hours, and everyone's got, who gives a shit? People fart. Like, but that's the way it is. Like, things feel like they're. It's almost. You remember like when you were in high school, and this is just part of growing up in general. But when you're in high school, everything feels like such a huge deal.
Oh, yeah.
Everything that happens, everything. Like you, God, I turned in my homework assignment late. I'm gonna get 15 points off on that. Like it feels like this massive deal to you. Grade didn't even budge. Doesn't matter to you. You're so disappointed in yourself, or relate. You know, you ask someone out, you get rejected. Like, oh my God, this is like. I can't do this. I'm crying. And you had some real shit to cry about eventually by the end of it, but but not counting stuff like that, just normal high school shit.
that was actual
that's
real
different. Yeah, that's
big
different.
shit.
That's
that was
different.
huge shit.
That's
life changing.
But actual normal high school shit. Right. That was not a normal thing.
That's not a normal everyday occurrence in high school.
But just normal high school shit, whether it's bullying, whether it's just, you know, your friends don't want you sitting with them at the lunch table for some reason because you said something and spread a rumor and whatever. That seems like such a big deal. As I grew up, it really wasn't that big a deal.
It feels like every day is turning into a high school.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get to. Like that's what it feels like. High school for the younger generation, anyways, just never ends. It just keeps going. But why?
No.
I think a lot of it's social media. I think it encourages that behavior. You live in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
The moment of that tweet you put up. You live, so like even in the viral video, like people, like how many young YouTubers I see, I'm going to do anything I can to go viral, anything I can to go viral, anything I can to go viral. Then they go viral one time. And then they spend every waking moment for the next year trying to do it again. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I get trying to go for success again, but sometimes it's a bit, like, I think that's why some of these dumb challenges have, like the Tide Pod fucking challenge. Like, why? There's no part of that challenge that remotely sounds like something anyone should even think about doing. But why? Because it gets attention. And we get in this attention-seeking behavior, whether it's negative or positive. Mm-hmm. And I hate it. And I try so hard to keep my daughter, I think, is already too long gone because of her other dad. Mm-hmm. But I try so hard to shelter my kids from it. Not saying that, hey, I don't use social media. I mean, I can't be one of those parents like, oh, you can't use social media. I'm a fucking YouTuber. You can't ever think about doing YouTube or do TikTok. Or you can't do any of this shit because fuck you, but daddy can. It's for adults. I'm like, no, I'm not dumb. Their friends are doing it. But it's more about being responsible in how I introduce them to those things and making them realize these are just some things you can do for fun. Maybe if you're lucky, you can make money and do it for a living. I'm not going to tell my kids, you can't do YouTube for a living. You can't be an Instagram model for a living. Of course you can, but it's just like becoming an actor. It's a lot of work, and you need some lucky breaks along the way. Mm-hmm. You might never get there. So it's more like, it could be your goal to become a famous YouTuber. My daughter and my middle son, they both look at me and go, man, I want to be a YouTuber like you. And I tell them, no, you don't want to be like me. You want to be like 30 times bigger than me. But I'm like, but here's the reality. You see how hard dad works at it. And I'm not that successful. So keep this in the back of your mind when you're thinking, I want to do this for fun. I always say, do it for fun. And then if you end up getting a lucky break and becoming popular and making money from it, amazing. But it shouldn't really be your goal. Like, this is why, you know, I absolutely could see for some YouTubers where YouTube's a job, right? It's literally a job. Sure. It's everything. Yeah. Fine. I could see how that happens. But I don't see a path when you're a child to grow up as I want to be a YouTuber and have that be like fully supported by parents, being like, you're going to be a YouTuber, do everything, we're going to buy you the equipment, this and that. They're going to do all this to push them as a YouTuber. But there's no guarantee of success in that field. It's not like, oh, I'm going to be an electrician. You get your degree, become an electrician, you get a job somewhere, an entry level job.
Right.
Like you can get entry level YouTube. Anyone can do it. Everything on YouTube's entry level. But entry level in pretty much everything, like even I know you've had a hard time getting like the proper job for your last degree, but like if you did get one, it's just sky's the limit from there.
Right.
Your work you do determines your future.
The thing is too is YouTube's only been around for X number of years. We haven't had the generational. So like think of like an actor or things like that where we have generational actors. That the family is an actor. Their kids are actors. I don't think we've had enough time with YouTube
to have generational
to have
YouTube. But
a YouTube star. All of a sudden, their kids are massive YouTube stars. Their kids are massive YouTube. Like that kind of feeder, quote unquote, feeder program.
Sure, but even then, that's just like Paris Hilton. I'm rich because my parents are rich.
Well, no, but that you're saying you don't see a point where a parent would encourage their kids to do. I'm saying like with that in.
Oh, there are some that do.
Yeah.
Some of the biggest YouTubers out there that have kids are saying, hey, my kids want to do YouTube. Well, yeah, because your kid will be successful because you have a big enough following to give them a start.
At least they'll have a better chance than a normal person off the street.
Sure, and just like my daughter, she'd have a better chance of getting her first 10,000 subscribers on YouTube because of me. And I know that, but I also know that's nothing. I mean, it's not nothing, but it's nothing in the sense of if you're trying to be it for a career, it's nothing. So, like, there's that aspect, I suppose, but I also look at it as that's like anything. Like, my dad's high up at a company. He could hire me when I graduate if I want. Like, it's the same sort of, it's where your parents take their position and give you the advantage to do a similar position if you would like to. When you talk about that generational wealth, well, that's what it is. It's a generational thing. Like if your dad's a carpenter and you become a carpenter, you could probably work for your dad, et cetera, and take over the family business and all that. That's basically what it would be with YouTube. Because eventually the person that's at the top that got popular in the first place is going to die. But they can still, before the hell happens, pass everything down the line. And so like, but that could happen in any profession. But bottom line is almost every single profession, you're able to get there. Like, if you look at a lot of the popular YouTubers, the most popular, they got there by accident.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, they could pass it on down now. Like, Linus Tech Tips now has 1 billion channels. But, like, that channel becoming as big as it was, Linus wasn't doing that crap full time. He was working at a PC hardware store. Like, he wasn't, a full-time YouTuber. It kind of got popular by accident. And grew from there. And, like, that's what I'm saying about when you're when you're looking at any sort of social media, I want to become a star, and you don't have a parent or cousin or something who can feed you to get you started, it's all luck. None of these people did this thinking, like Linus wasn't doing YouTube videos thinking I'm going to be a YouTube video maker for the rest of my life and run this big LMG corporation and run all. He wasn't thinking any of that shit. He was doing it because it was fun. Yeah. And got lucky. And that's why I try to tell my kids, do it for fun and get lucky. Yeah, if I end up becoming a mega YouTuber someday, if I am fortunate enough to be the next beat 'em ups and hit 1 million subscribers someday, that's awesome. But like, I'm in my mid-30s. Let's say that happens by the time I'm 50 or something. Okay, cool. But like, I'm still not gonna look at my kids and go like, hey, you should make this like a goal to do this. Because even at 1 million, I don't know if that's enough to pass down enough followers to my daughter doing dumb shit, because that's not my audience.
The dumb shit might get enough attention depending on how dumb it is.
Yeah, so like, I don't know. That
happens nowadays too.
But this just all goes into the psyche of the younger generation. And by the way, I'm not saying, again, you can absolutely do social media as a job. But it's also one of those, it's not one of those careers where unless you know someone that will give you a following, there's no guarantee of success. Which you can say that about any career, but it's especially true of social media. You could be TikToking for 10 years. There's no guarantee you'll ever get more than a single follower, and it's probably your mom. I mean, that's just the way it is. Like, there's no guarantee you can say there's no guarantees in life, but I'm sorry, when you get a degree in college, if you push hard enough, like if Eric, the most recent degree, if you just say, fuck it, anywhere in the country I'll go and work, you could find a job for that. If you want to get far away from your family and other values you might have, screw it. Fuck it. I'll go work in Dubai. Like, you could find a job doing it somewhere. But there's not like a degree to become a YouTuber that guarantees you're going to be able to go somewhere and be successful at YouTube. Now, could you be like a videographer that has a whole world of opportunities, and YouTube would be one of those, but you aren't the person building the following, right? Like, you're the person that's going to be behind the scenes. So like, sure, you can get into YouTube in that sense. Passion for videography, a passion for editing. Like, you can be a video editor because you can not only do that for multiple YouTubers, you could do that for other production companies and stuff. So like, there are paths, but to be like a host, homegrown from your home, like, that's all luck. Unless someone gave you a following. No one gave me any of my shit. That's what pisses me off about losing Zelda Informer is built that fucking thing up. But that's one thing that does still irk me to this day. Sold for $70,000. I wonder how it was worth $70,000. The owner who sold it, who hadn't been around in 3 years, sold it for $70K. Yeah. Well, last time he was around, it got 200 views. Now it's getting $4 million a month.
Don't know.
It's almost like that $70K should be mine.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's not how it works.
We had a couple extra super chats.
Did we? Yeah, yes! So. That's what I want, some shots. And if you had a working laptop, you'd be able to read.
I would.
Technically, it works. I just don't know where the power cord went.
Yes, this little thing.
You're way off a couple. I see one.
Just a prop. There's, I think, at least two more.
Oh. Nope, that's the Drew Holiday layup one. Pretty
just
sure.
from reading off the screen.
Taker610 said, F Spawncast, Prime Podcast is where it's at. Prime Podcast! Yeah, that's it.
I thought there was one more.
Nope.
Taker610, there's another one on here that the Bucks are guaranteed the championship in 2071.
What?
According to the
ticker. No. Are you talking about the ticker? Yeah. That's from a previous stream.
Well,
I was like, wait a second, I remember that one. That was last time I streamed.
Got it, we just didn't clear the ticker.
Cheers. Yeah, I didn't clear the ticker.
On that one. Okay. So there was already one super chat on there from...
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the massive surprise happening for Switch? Oh gosh, that's a very fair question since that's in the title.
Yes, it is.
So one, the title is obviously a little bit clickbaity. But beyond that, the surprise is that future Nintendo games like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Breath of the Wild 2 might be massive, like 30 plus gigs in size, which suggests games bigger than we've ever seen from Nintendo. Woo! Okay, so Gimpler the Happening says, I'm sure there's a formula to be successful on YouTube, but this platform is still fairly new. Like, I was in a pop band with a pop music formula to have a hit song, but that industry is more mature. Well, so, like, you can look at like Mr. Beast, right? He blew up. Mm-hmm. But is he, like, he made, videos where he's like, if I'm not at 1 million subscribers in 5 years, then, F this place, I'm out. Okay, that's fine. But, like, even as he was doing things to get attention and grow his channel, he knew, and you could tell in his early videos, that he had no idea if it was going to work. Now, you could argue, he's figured it out now. Well, sure, because he's been doing it long enough and been successful at it.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, you can watch those early videos. He had he was in college. He had no idea his YouTube channel was going to blow up. He wanted it to, of course.
Right.
But he wasn't, like, banking on it. Then when it got big enough, he dropped out of college and everything else. So it's like, you can argue there's a formula, but nobody's really figured it out. Every person, like, even when Mark Rober, like, came to it and did it, he had no idea he was going to give you. He was working for NASA, right? An actual astrophysicist, like, crazy intelligent, massive engineer. He's so really brilliant. You know, you got to be to work at NASA. And yet, he started making YouTube videos. And he had no idea those YouTube videos were going to do well. But they did. 1 went viral. Then 2 went viral. Next thing you know, anything he makes goes viral. Like, he didn't know that. He didn't know when he started making videos that were going to blow up and he was going to be a YouTuber. No idea. So, and a lot of these YouTubers, by the way, they've talked about this publicly and said, we have no idea how we got here. Like, we know what works now, but we didn't know this was going to work when we started. So when you see some of these videos, this person broke the code, this person knows it, nobody knows. Nobody actually knows how to start from nothing and become something. No, like even when you look at like Switchforce, right? Switchforce is almost at 400,000 subscribers. Guess what? They were able to siphon off of Ghost Robo's channel that has almost 2 million because the person who runs Switchforce built that channel up. So he got to kickstart Switchforce to becoming his primary channel that he does now. But you ask him, how did you get the Ghost Robo channel to be popular? He has no fucking clue. We'll all say hard work, dedication, schedule. Yeah, we'll talk about all this stuff. And then you'll see other YouTubers that don't work hard, don't have a consistent schedule, and they're just as big. Because there's not really a method to getting popular, unless you're going to say the method is know someone who's already popular that wants to help you out. Like, okay, sure, that's been a guarantee. We just talked about that. That's like guarantee.
I cracked it. You wear a squirrel mask.
You wear a squirrel mask. That's the problem. I should be wearing a squirrel mask every video.
Yep.
And when I make the nut joke.
Yes. Squirrel's gone wild.
Squirrel's gone wild. And I make the nut joke. I have the biggest walnut.
Yes.
I just pull. I reach in and pull out the biggest nut you've ever seen.
Right. This is a gaming podcast.
Yeah. People are so when Jay Digital said that's pretty new. People are just getting into YouTube. Here's what I'll say about the YouTube and new thing. I get that it's only like 15, 16 years old. Here's what I'll say about YouTube. It's the #2 most visited website on the planet. I don't think we're past the point of calling that new. The only thing that's more popular is its parents' company, Google.com. It's Google, then YouTube. 2 most popular websites in the world. So I don't think we can just sit here and keep calling it new when it's been consistently at #2 forever. I don't know. Maybe it'll pass Google someday. I have no idea.
It's new in the fact of, like I said,
career-based.
Career-based. Yeah.
Sure. But again, I still don't think there's ever going to be a time that you could say, go to college, get a YouTuber degree.
Right.
And start from nothing and guarantee you're getting anywhere.
Right.
Whereas a lot of other career paths, it's like, look, as long as you're willing to move and go anywhere, you could find something. And a lot, like, as an example, go and get a degree as a nurse. You're going to find a job.
Yeah.
It's a high demand position.
Oh, for sure.
Not really a high demand for YouTubers. I would say the demand for YouTubers is not a demand. It's a convenience.
There's no demand for YouTubers. I mean,
like when you guys are watching YouTube, do you think, man, I wish a YouTuber existed that did X, Y, and Z? You know what happens? The people that say that, they make it. They go do it themselves.
Right.
Like, I don't know. It's a weird medium. This is a weird medium.
Just look at the guy who didn't have a dad growing up, and now he has his own YouTube channel doing dad things, teaching people how to do, as if he was their dad, type of thing. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I don't remember the guy's name.
Yeah, I don't remember what it is.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't. But
that's the thing. It's like that person started the YouTube with I know how to get popular and big and do this for a living. Like,
well, no, but
and like I said, and they talk about how new it is, but bottom line is, it doesn't matter how new it is. Social media is
TikTok's way newer.
So social media has been around for like 2 decades now. We're getting to the point where I know it's not like 100 years old, but I mean, if someone was born at the beginning, they'd be 20. It's been around long enough to the point where social media is very understood to be something that there's no guaranteed success at. And YouTube, I think people forget, is a social media platform. People forget sometimes that YouTube is a social media platform. Since it's a video platform and there's so many businesses and companies and doing it for a living and ads, people are all like, oh yeah, YouTube's not social media. It is social media. It's just a video social media platform. So I don't know. Hey, I thank all you guys for being here, though. I thank you for the 93 plus we still have watching. You guys are awesome.
Yeah,
and those extra long episodes. There've been a couple long episodes in a row. It's been a while. It's one of those. The episodes will be a bit long for a bit before we start dialing them back to about 90 minutes because we haven't been doing podcasts for a while. So we're kind of just letting it fly because I feel like I owe you guys a longer shows because goddamn. Dude, I remember momentum. Don't lose it from E3. All right, let's just not do a podcast for a month and a half. Sorry about that. Whoops. Yet again, we were at like 130, 140. Although, did my clickbait work?
I don't know, maybe.
Did we prove? We'll have to compare this to last week.
Yeah.
And see if the you know what it was though. It'd be like the clickbait didn't work. It was a squirrel mask.
Squirrel mask.
They saw that and said no. Or they'll say Eric was there.
I mean, that's
You
possible.
sexy beast.
But I doubt it. I don't know why anybody watches for me, but cool. Thank you. Hi.
Because you're wearing a Bucks Final shirt.
I am
Worth
wearing
it
a
just
Bucks
for
Final
that.
shirt. Yeah.
So anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. It's been a fun podcast. Hopefully you guys learned something. If you didn't learn anything other than I'm an idiot. All right, cool. So yeah, we'll be back next week. Probably have a special guest. I did have a guest today. They backed out. You know, I don't like bad talking people, so we'll just leave it at that. But we will have hopefully a new guest next week. No, some people are gonna be like, get Andre's restart. I hear you, because he was like a semi-regular before. Yeah. He will be on again. Just not next week. He's still on vacation. He's on like a super long vacation.
Nice.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say where he's at, but I know where he's at. Let's just say he's not in the country. Yeah. So he'll be back. I think he said next week Thursday. So that's past our podcast date. So it won't be next week. So he'll probably pop on the week after. Besides that, I got some other people I've been talking to behind the scenes trying to get some stuff worked out with schedules and everything. So we will be back though next week Wednesday. Probably on time. If we have a guest, we're always on time. If we don't, we just kind of wing it when we feel like it because I'm not gonna rush myself on a specific schedule. Eric's here, cool. So all right, we'll make it work.
Pretty much.
We were watching a bit of the Brewer game as an example. It really distracted me.
They won 10-0.
Well, of course they did. So we're watching the Brewer game for a little bit there, and then looked at the time and like, oh right, I don't have anything set up yet. Oh well, I guess we'll just do this at 9. Oh, get close to 9. Okay, maybe 9:20. So even then, this really isn't that long of a cast, like 2 hours, so whatever. Yeah. But thank you guys for tuning in.
We're at 3, dude.
No, we're not.
Yeah, we are live 2:51.
Yeah, it's not exactly that, because remember, 16-minute run-up, so it's like 2.5. It's like 2.5.
Fine.
2.5.
Fine.
Splitting hairs over here.
Fine.
Here we go, start beating each other. Go back to the E3.
Yeah, right.
Right.
No, Yulia will hobble down here and beat your ass. Remember what happened?
Well, probably because I woke the kids up. Nothing else.
Well, no. Remember, you aren't allowed to get angry at me anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
She'll come down here and beat your ass.
No, I don't know. Pretty sure I can outrun her right now.
Yeah,
pretty sure I could outrun her even before the surgery, to be honest.
Yeah,
but I just take it. I'm a man. You know, you take it sometimes.
You're not 40. Oh God. Okay.
That's it.
Nope. This podcast. Is.
Hold on.
Boy.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah,
you can find our podcast whenever I decide to upload it on any of your favorite podcast services. It's been a while.
Oh boy.
Otherwise, you can find it right here on YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is a one-of-a-kind YouTube show, if you didn't know. Let me finish this off with a quick 3-shotter. We're going to call this a night. You guys are awesome. Eric, where can they find you on the socials?
Twitter at emo8790. That's pretty much it. Otherwise, here Wednesdays.
Yup. You can find me, I don't even know, everywhere. Anywhere that a Nintendo Prime exists. Instagram, Twitter's at Ninty Prime.
OnlyFans?
I think I have a Nintendo Prime account on OnlyFans.
Really? Oh.
There's nothing on it. There's nothing on it. I had to put that caveat. By the way, if you find it, there's nothing there. Maybe, you know what? If we ever get kicked off Patreon, which, God, we never mentioned Patreon. I make like no money on Patreon anymore.
Scroll mask.
But if we ever lose all our members on YouTube and lose everyone on Patreon, I'm converting. We're just going to have an OnlyFans as a way to benefit the channel.
Whoa.
Uh-oh. That's an alarm. Let me know. Actually, it's not for me. It's for somebody else. But thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you in the next episode next week.
Peace.